Hey, welcome to you and those of you listening on the replay. Um, we are going to watch Pulp Fiction tonight. For those of you who joined me last night for Reservoir Dogs, it was a smashing success. So I thought we'd continue the Tarantino talk, something, and invite close homie, compatriot, lifelong pal, comrade, amigo, friend across to all animals and peoples everywhere. Larry, the horror cat dad. Thank you for being here, buddy.
Hey man, thanks as always. Thanks for having me, brother. Always a good time when we do these streams, man. So really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, I always enjoy it, and yeah, this one's a bit of a long one. We were just talking about that. It's going to be 2.5 hours. Well, 2:35. So I thought I'd bring in some extra reinforcements to have my back on this one. Let's see here. Joseph is here. What's up, friends and guys? So excited to be in the stream. Hope everyone has an awesome Saturday night and happy Easter. Hit that like button. Thank you, Joseph. You are quite the one-man team there. You cranked it out. Anthony Jabo says, "How are you guys? By the way, I saw Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. It was awesome. Happy Easter. Have you seen Frozen Empire yet, Larry?"
No, it's on my list. I want to see that one, and I want to see Godzilla X Kong. Those are the two that I'm kind of wanting to see right now. And
Yeah.
I think I spoke to you on the last in the house. I didn't know when that Abigail film was coming out. It's coming out in April, so I'm excited for that.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, I still haven't seen the trailer for that. I keep expecting it to scroll by on my Instagram, at least one of the little mini ones or something. But it looks like I'm gonna have to search it out. But anyways, thank you. Welcome, Anthony. We appreciate it. Yes, exactly. Rip to our friend Dave. We've talked about that in previous chats, and there's a lot of other folks talking about that. So it's hard not to have in the back of our mind, obviously, but yeah, it's the type of thing where we just kind of find ourselves spinning our wheels talking about stuff we can't change.
Mhm.
Anthony Chabot says he's working on his memoirs up to 1995, almost up to 1996. So those memoirs, they're coming along nicely. I like that.
Nice.
How are you going to be watching this movie tonight, Larry? What format?
On Max.
Yeah, I'll be watching it streaming on Max as well. Um, Traditionally, this is one that I will watch. You know, I own multiple versions of the home media, HBO or HBO, VCR, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, all of it. So yeah, this one I found streaming on Max, and I thought it was a perfect follow-up to last night's watching of Reservoir Dogs. So if you haven't seen that one, be sure to check it out. But
Definitely.
yeah, for sure, hang out for this one too, though. This one's a good one.
Yeah,
Um,
this was actually my first Tarantino film I ever saw.
oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, I saw Reservoir Dogs first, and then True Romance later, and then when Pulp Fiction grew into a big thing and Tarantino became more of a household name, then I realized, oh yeah, that True Romance and those other movies are connected. You can almost hear it. So, um, and then after by the time Jackie Brown came out, I was pretty much hooked, and I'd seen all his stuff. The Natural Born Killers and Crimson Tide. He did some punch up work on. Like I said, the Natural Born Killers. He also was a writer on a couple TV shows. I can't remember what else, but
I think he
um,
did ER too, right? He didn't
yeah,
he like
ER. Um, he did a CSI. I think it was. I think he did like
mhm.
2 episodes of a CSI or a two-parter. Um, but I see some folks are pouring in here. Hello, Vietnam, says our friend Mayan. Welcome, May. Welcome. Oops. I mean, hello, everyone. Oh, she gets confused as to where she is. Hey,
Hey,
Sarah
Sarah.
Campbell. Nice to have Sarah here. Good to see you. And hey, May. Um, and yes, Queen Sarah's in his house. We thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to get started here in a few minutes because this is a long one. So 2.5 hours. That's one of the things that Larry and I were discussing. Tarantino has a tendency to everything after Reservoir Dogs, other than Death Proof, is pretty stretched out to the maximum potential of what your attention span will take. So, um, do you have yours queued up, Larry?
Yes, sir. I
All
have it
right.
already at the. I guess I don't. Well, it's at a ad right now, of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me press play and see where I'm at. Make sure I got mute on and everything here. Yep, there's mine too. Listening to Talking Movies, a movies memory podcast, available on Max. So free shout out to them. All right, where's mute? All right, and fanfare playing. You know how much we love fanfare.
Yep. And Miramax.
And Miramax logo. Yeah, there we go. So we're lined up here. Let me see if I can get the captions to work. So it starts off with this like dictionary definition of pulp, and it's almost like a high school kid's like term paper, or like someone who has no idea how to give a wedding speech. Like, what is the definition of love? Oxford's dictionary says. But we start off in the Honey Bunny Diner scene with Amanda Plummer and Tim Roth. And this is a great wraparound because this scene is incredibly intriguing. And then when it stops at the robbery and it cuts to the Dick Dale, surf rock music, you spend the rest of the movie forgetting about it. Like your mind is complete. So much happens that at the end, when we look over at the diner, we're like, oh shit, it's the beginning. Like, it really, I don't know, the way that the story structure works, it really ties everything together. How many times have you seen this, Larry?
Oh man, too many to count. Because when I first saw this movie, like I was telling you, this was my first Tarantino film that I saw, and this was back when it first hit home video. Like I didn't see it in the theater or anything like that, so I watched it quite a bit, and I was surprised at that age. My mom was like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead and watch it," but I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that I've seen that's worse. So.
Well, I think
But
in particularly the gimp scene, the bring out the gimp scene, is the one that most people who aren't who aren't a bit more steely or whatever the word I'm looking for, there, if you're not visually tough or whatever, if you can't take stuff that happens in movies as just fiction, that scene will bother you, and but I think it's kind of an awesome bit of horror stuff to mix into the middle of a crime drama. Suddenly it turns into like a full on version of Hostel or something.
yeah, I mean, it's sort of like for a quick second, it turns to like a smut exploitation film.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it taps into stuff that people are uncomfortable with. So that's, especially mainstream white America isn't quite ready for, all that was going on with that scene. But, yeah, this part here where Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer are planning out their robbery, and they're talking about, how they made more money from stealing people's wallets at the last robbery than they did from the gas or from the actual register. And then the classic garçon, and when she says, "Oh, garçon means boy," yeah. Before this movie was made, Quentin obviously had a hit with Reservoir Dogs, or at least a reasonable hit with it. And when he was going to write Pulp Fiction, he went traveling to Europe. So you can see that all over this movie. The stuff about, what do they call? With cheese, and in Amsterdam they drown the French fries in mayonnaise, and then this part with garçon means boy. It's like this is written by a dude who's fresh off a European vacation.
Not the Chevy Chase film.
No.
I love this dialogue though here. Like, I mean, I just love this the way it just starts. Like he just does this whole like monologue, which is really really cool. Similar to Reservoir Dogs, when they start off with the like a virgin speech, and he
also
just
in a diner,
yeah, also in a diner, yeah. And then just the way it just goes from like 0 to 60, and then like you were saying, it goes into that surfer tune.
Yeah, the Dick Dale kind of guitar rock, the surfer rock stuff. What's it? Mizzaloo, I think is the song. Mizzaloo, whatever. But yeah, especially if you're a fan of Reservoir Dogs, as soon as Tim Roth turns up, you feel like, oh, this is kind of connected to that other movie in a weird way. And that's how Tarantino, all his movies are. They're all connected in weird ways. When we get to the pawn shop scene, we'll discuss that. Some of the foresight that's been in his films. But yeah, I like these characters. they're vile criminals and they're scary people, but you know, the fact that they're also in love makes it kind of sweet and interesting, you know.
It's almost like you can almost say this is like remnants of like true romance.
Oh,
They're
definitely.
they're
Yeah.
dynamic. You know what I mean?
No, even down to Tim Roth's shirt. You know, he's wearing the
Hmm.
kind of that open shirt that looks a lot like something Christian Slater would wear.
Well, it's also a Hawaiian shirt, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's a Hawaiian burger joint.
I like the way he pronounced that part too. It's a
Yeah,
Hawaiian
uh-huh.
burger joint.
Hawaiian burger joint. And then when he drinks the soda and they do the close up on his face and he does
And
that
he
look
just
down, and his eyes look like a dog, like a cute dog's or something, like big brown eyes. And
finishes it.
yeah, you hear that. That was almost underneath my name. It says Royale with cheese. I wanted to check out the big ass brain on Brad, but it wouldn't fit in there. I always find Tarantino's title sequences, like Reservoir Dogs in particular, was sort of notable with the, you know, slow motion and the freeze frame on each character while we say their name. This
Mhm.
one, it's very basic. Like there's nothing fancy about it. There's no like fancy editing or quick cuts or like MTV. I don't know. I always refer to it as MTV style. In this era, everything was like up tempo for the short attention span crowd. But this takes its time, you know.
I think it's just because there's so many more like characters in it. Maybe that's why.
Yeah. Yeah, they run through the quick list there, and we see
Yeah.
Tarantino, Whaley, and let's see here. Joseph wants to know who's seeing Sting. I'm assuming he's talking about the movie Sting, not the wrestler Sting, but he says he ain't seeing it, so it was a bait and switch. He was tricking us.
Sting, is it a biopic about the singer Sting?
Oh no, at least I don't think so. To my knowledge, it's a
No,
movie
I
about.
know.
Okay,
I know what you mean.
damn you. Now I can see it's funny, I have it on mute, but I can see in the captions that it's now switched to Jungle Boogie.
Yeah.
And that's one of the weird things about this credit sequence. It's all black screen with yellow font, but then in the middle of it, you can hear them change the radio. Like and then Jungle Boogie comes on, and then we cut to them in the car. So it's almost like the song Mizzaloo wasn't long enough to stretch through the credit scene, so they had to kind of work in that radio soundtrack background.
This is basically like foreshadowing, right? This conversation about them being able to like just like smoke in,
Yeah,
public or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, early times. Let's see here. Where are we? Sarah's saying hello. I was a fan ever since Reservoir Dogs, my first Tarantino movie that I have on in storage. Yeah, Reservoir Dogs was a great one. There's all sorts of little Tarantino threads. We talked about some of his TV work, and then he had written From Dusk Till Dawn, which they made later. But there's a movie called Cursed, I think it's called, or is it Curdled? Curdled, maybe. And it's about a maid who cleans up after crime scenes. Like, so after someone's getting murdered, she goes and cleans up. And in there's a Gecko Brothers escape on the loose news footage. So technically that movie's like part of that universe. And then this movie was co-written by Roger Avery. Roger Avery, he's probably most known for oh God, what's that movie about college that I can't ever remember with Vanderbeek and the like real salacious college movie that's
Rules of Attraction.
Yep, there you go, Rules of Attraction. Thank you. He's most known for doing that, but he also did a really great movie called Killing Zoe or Killing Zoe. About a bank robbery, and it's like it feels like it's part of the Pulp Fiction world as well. Eric Stoltz is in it, and he's got the long red hair like Lance and this and everything.
Yeah, here's that scene in the trunk,
Yeah, we were talking about this last night with Reservoir Dogs. This is a classic Tarantino shot. This time he's moved it from dead center in the trunk to kind of angled, which actually is a better version of the shot. But they use it in Jackie Brown as well when Samuel L. Jackson opens the trunk and Chris Tucker's in the back, or who does he put in the back? Yeah, exactly. I love all this dialogue where they're talking about how Mia Wallace was in a pilot, and he explains to him what a pilot is and everything. And the whole Tony Rocky Horror speech.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
And then the whole thing about the foot massage, and that's it, just a foot massage.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I give my mother a foot massage. It's like, you want to give me a foot massage right now? Man, get the fuck out of here. Hey, our friend Russell is here.
Hey, Russell, how
Canadian
you doing,
Master.
my man?
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Everybody's saying hi to Russell. Sarah says she's only seen this once. She's going to try and stay and watch it with you all. I'm already 1 a.m. and all. Oh boy, yeah, it's late there. Oh, that's right. You're extra late ahead of us. Let's see here. Joseph says this one is on his movie list. Yeah, it's a classic, Joseph. I recommend it. Especially this one. I talked last night with Reservoir Dogs. I find Tarantino's kind of overall directing, his color palette, it's very bright and lit, and this is a very kind of dark, shadowy movie. Like he hasn't quite developed his visual style yet. So this and Reservoir Dogs are like the kind of darkest of all his movies, with shadows and contrast and stuff. Russell says he loves Pulp Fiction. How can you not?
It's the first movie I saw, and I got hooked. And then I went back and I saw Reservoir Dogs, and I mean, that's my favorite Tarantino. I think I've told you this before. I mean, it's still my favorite Tarantino film.
Yeah, well, it's just so like raw and basic. It doesn't need to be too intricate. It's just like I was saying last night, a character study of some criminals. So I think Larry's probably having internet trouble, so I will say hello to some folks in the chat here. They actually really do be drowning fries in mayo in Amsterdam. I had it 2 nights in a row of a newspaper cone walking around red light district. I like French fries and mayonnaise, actually. I'm a weirdo like that. Not drowning in them, though. I like to slightly dip in it. And the fries need to be hot.
Or just put a little bit on top, just sprinkle a little bit.
Yeah, a little glaze. It's like same with ranch. Lamonia Demonia, one of the best internet handles in all the world. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hey,
Lamonia,
how you doing?
We love having her here. She's got a quick wit to her. Good afternoon in this good bloody film. Matthew Benny, Aussie VHS. How you doing, Benny? I haven't seen you in a while, man. I have to catch up on you. Benny be cracking me up. Hello, people. Hey, Lamonia. Hey, man. Everybody's saying hello. Russell says Quentin Tarantino was inspired to write Pulp Fiction from the film Bonnie's Kids. I've never seen Bonnie's Kids, but I've heard of it. Yeah. And our friend the professor is here. So now's the time to put out any movie ideas. Folks are saying hi to the professor.
I was going to say I've seen Bebe's Kids.
Oh, baby kids. They're bad. They don't die, they multiply. Saw Jackie Brown on YouTube last night. Yeah, Jackie Brown's fantastic. I love Pam Grier. It's hard not to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, when you were talking about it in Reservoir Dogs, I was like, yeah, I agree with you. It's underrated for sure. I think it's a really good film.
Well, Tarantino, he's incredibly smart, and I've talked before about how you can kind of chart different directors' history. You can just go through and see what every director, how they put movies out, what number that movie was released, how it was received by the audience and stuff. And almost always a director's third film or fourth, depending on when they got their success, is a failure. So, like if you look at Christopher Nolan, he does Following and then Memento. And then at some point he decides Insomnia is a good choice because he knew he needed a throwaway one. And that's how Tarantino was. He knew after Pulp Fiction, he wasn't going to be able to top it. So he needed to kind of turn the heat back down. And he did the adaptation of an Elmore Leonard novel. Actually, I think it was even a short novella, Rum Punch. And yeah, he basically bunted on that one. And a lot of directors I noticed do that. They don't take a big swing after a big hit. They often try to go something more subdued because they have a feeling that they're going to get killed on their next one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, which is strange because I like Insomnia. I thought it was really good.
Well, it's a remake, and I don't know, what was the original one, Norwegian or something? I don't remember, but yeah, it's a remake, and the original was very edgy and a big deal, and it's kind of one of those assignments you get like when you're an independent filmmaker, and then you go meet with a studio, and they're like, "Well, here's what we have for you to do." Like Kevin Smith talks about that in some of his Evening with Kevin Smiths, like going to meet the people. So here they go into the apartment with Hawaiian burger. with Frank Whaley. Frank Whaley's awesome in this. He's good in everything. I like Frank Whaley in general.
Yeah, he's good in Hoffa.
Oh yeah, he is very good in Hoffa. I like him in Swimming with Sharks as well. Cinephile Sanity, Sean is here. Nice to see you, bud.
Sean, how's it going, brother?
Thanks for joining us. Sean was here last night for the Reservoir Dogs party. He was here till the end. That man, he was a rider on that one, so I appreciate him. Let's see here. Joe, if you like Tarantino films, you'll like Jackie Brown. Joseph says he still enjoys being here. Well, we enjoy having you here, buddy. Let me see here. Hey, Jason Entertainment. Welcome, Jason. Nice to have you here.
Hey,
How are you? How's it going, Larry?
It's going, man. I mean, we're chilling, watching a classic here. I mean, everybody in the chat's cool, so they're fellow friends and everything, so it's all good, man.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying last night's stream, is that we all have a lot on our mind, and I don't know if we necessarily need to all talk about it over and over again, but it is nice to just all be together and be friends and have that community for us here at this time. So that burger looks kind of dry and cold, but at the same time it does look delicious.
Mm-hmm.
That is a tasty burger.
I can't eat these because my girlfriend's a vegetarian.
Yeah, which means I'm a vegetarian too.
Yeah.
That's like a true line. I feel like that's probably from Tarantino's real life too. Like, I don't get to eat meat, so she's a vegetarian, which means I'm pretty much a vegetarian.
But I do love a tasty burger.
And the Big Kahuna is one of Tarantino's invented products. Later on, we see his cigarettes, the red apples. And then, we see his stuff all over the place. I'm sure I'll see up something else that pops up. Monster Joe's Trucking Company or whatever. That's supposedly Joe Cabot's, they say, but there's no indication of that, which that would make Julia Sweeney, Nice Guy Eddie's sister.
Mm-hmm. There was something else, I think, from here that's like getting referenced somewhere else. I'm trying to remember. It'll come to me. I'm pretty sure it'll hit me when we get to a part or that part of it. Here's that scene where he just like finishes up his drink.
Well, it's such a dominant move. It's like the alpha move. He comes in, acts all calm. He's not trying to be threatening. He eats the dude's cheeseburger and drinks his drink. In a way, it almost tells him, like, you won't be needing this, but it also tells him, like, whatever you got, I can take. So just sit there and shut up. I love this little line where he has the dude with the messed up bedhead and he calls him flock of seagulls.
Yeah.
You, flock of seagulls.
Even in the captions, it says flock of seagulls. Like, that's his name.
Get Christy Love. You under arrest, sugar? Or is that Honey West? Yeah, that's Honey West. Sean, what do you think of Legend of Billie Jean? I liked actually Legend of Billie Jean. Oh, there he is. Good evening, Not All Movie Talking Chad. There's our buddy Jim.
Hey, Jim. How's it going, man?
Jim is certified grade A, stamped hilarious.
Oh, he got it.
Yeah, that's also an amazing shot when he opens up the briefcase and the gold kind of lights up, but we never see what's in the briefcase. There's this old thing with Alfred Hitchcock where he talks about what a MacGuffin is. And as he describes it, a MacGuffin is the thing that makes the plot go. It's what the people in the movie care about that the audience doesn't. It's just the reason for them to be doing stuff. So this briefcase is one of the most classic MacGuffins in film history because it's just a generic whatever you think it is. It's like, it's just a briefcase full of something. Some people think it's gold. Some people think it's Marcellus Wallace's soul. Some people, whatever. You can think of anything. It could be nuclear codes or whatever you imagine, endless wealth, damn leprechaun. I don't know, something. But it's not important to us. It's just a device to make people in the movie do things. And you find that in movies all the time. It's like, I don't know what the bad guys are after, plutonium or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just a reason for our heroes to do stuff.
English, mother effer, do you speak it? I just love this whole.
Yeah. The way his mood just ratchets up and ratchets up. As soon as he fires the gun, his intensity just starts going up and up. I never heard of what? They speak English in what?
Does he look like a bitch?
I love all this. Yeah, just and once again going with the generic black suits with the white shirt, like all the
Mhm.
French movies that Tarantino loved. Kind of the gangster stuff. A Band Apart is the French movie he got that from, I believe. He doesn't like to be fucked by anybody but Mrs. Wallace,
Was.
which is a funny line of dialogue because it's clever, but it also reminds us that Mrs. Wallace is part of the story and she should stay in your mind because she's going to turn up.
Hmm. I like right here where you see see Vincent in the background. Like once he starts saying that, you see him like put the cigarette out. He's sort of like he's okay. All right.
Yeah, he knows. He knows. Joseph says, I have wonderful friends on YouTube. I may enjoy being y'all friends. We enjoy you too, Joseph. You're a good guy. We like that you hang out here. Hiya, birthday boy Jim. I didn't know it was Jim's birthday. Happy birthday to Jim. Happy birthday
Hey
to Jim.
Jim, happy birthday,
Happy
man.
birthday to Jim. Happy birthday to Jim. Now, what's my man's name in the corner? Phil Lamar. Is that his name? He was like on Mad TV and stuff.
Yeah, I always find it hilarious. Now, did they really need both of them to shoot him?
Well, they also noticed there during the shooting, there's like a yellowish orange flash, like a tint to the frame. That's the part where the guy comes out with the gun and doesn't, it doesn't work or whatever that we don't see.
Hmm. See, I think this coming up was why a lot of people thought it was like his soul, right? Because like the band-aid on the back of his head.
That was the thing. Yeah, I heard that right when it first came out, that people thought that the Band-Aid on the back of the neck is like some old witch tale or folklore, that's where they take your soul from. Like if you sell your soul to the devil, they take it out from the back of the neck kind of thing. But I think it just kind of is an awesome way to introduce a character. Like we only see the back of his big bald head and then these earrings and the Band-Aid on his neck and that gold shirt. Like we've never even seen his face, but we kind of have a feeling of like what a monstrous person this is. Oh, so yes, happy birthday to Jim. We love Jim here. Let's see here. Folks are subscribing to Jason Entertainment. I suggest you do.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. I always like when our chats connect folks. Let's see here. Folks are wishing Jim a happy birthday. Joseph says he created a new channel again. This is my last time making a channel. Okay, good, buddy. So we like to keep track of you. I've been listening to some old new wave groups, which I haven't heard in years. I always love me some old 80s new wave. You know that. So here, I love in the captions, we can see the Al Green lyrics.
Pride just hurts.
Or
pride only hurts. It's kind of bittersweet, right? Seeing like Bruce Willis.
Well, this is his star had started to fade. He had a big run, obviously, with the Die Hard movies, and then it started to dip a little, and then Die Hard with a Vengeance, I think, came out after this. Mm-hmm. So he needed a hit, and just him being like almost at a character actor level, like I wouldn't call him the star of this by any means.
No,
but yeah, there's that shot, and you can just see like the bumps in his head and like the sweaty pores and stuff. Like it just looks, and that bar, I can almost smell the cigarettes in the carpet. Like it just looks like a shady little bar.
Yep. Well, I mean, because you see that gold like pole, right? Like on the off to the side.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder what goes on at night there. We're gonna be watching Elm Street 2 later on my channel, 10 p.m. Eastern. All right, good.
Oh, nice.
I didn't realize that was going on, Sean. I apologize. But Elm Street 2 is a classic. I saw that in the theater as well. I saw this in the theater. Primarily, it was a big Oscar deal. And I can't remember if it was in the theater for months or they re-released it around Oscar time. But after it had gotten a bunch of Oscar buzz is when I went to the theater and saw it. And I was like high school age. And I think I was a senior maybe. And Yeah, I'm old. But we went and saw this, like me and a couple friends, and then like I remember a dude got up and started dancing in the aisles during Mizzaloo, and I was like, "This movie crazy." So yeah, I knew right away that this was going to be a fun flick. Let's see here. Joseph says, "Hey, thanks, Ross. I still love y'all, friends. We love you too, buddy." Duran, Tears for Fears, Thompson Twins, name a few. Those are some classic good 80s. Let's see here. Hey, our friend Kal-El is here. Donnie and
Hey,
Horror.
Kal-El, how's it going, man?
Nice. Thank you for joining us, son of Jor-El. We appreciate you, buddy. Let's see here. I'm old, but not as old as Russell. Oh, shots fired. I like it. Good one, Russ. I listen to a lot of Depeche Mode. I don't blame you.
That's some good
Now,
stuff,
we cut to this scene with Bruce Willis and Marcellus Wallace talking, and then when they let in Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, and they're wearing the t-shirts and the shorts, and it's interesting because we know as an audience they look way different than when they had the suits on. So we know there's a story that we're not getting. Like, how'd you guys end up dressed like that? Like, what happened?
So what? I never understood why he hates him so much here. Because it's clear, ever since, as soon as he walks up, like Bruce Willis, like he has like this look on his face, like I just hate you.
I think I always took it as that Travolta doesn't respect Bruce Willis because he's a man of no integrity. He's going to throw this fight and cost people money. He's basically a cheater, or a guy so down on his luck he would throw a fight and he like didn't. He's a man with no integrity, I guess is the best way to describe it. So yeah, but it's funny to me that Travolta has like zero fear. Like I understand if it was a gunfight, but his attitude is just like he'd beat him up with his fists. It's like, this guy's a boxer, right? He'll whoop your ass.
Well, I mean, that makes sense why he has like that, silenced machine gun, right?
Big huge Uzi or whatever it is. Yeah. When he's in the bathroom. And then once again, we get set up in a scene and then we cut to a new scene that's totally jarring. And we get these women talking about all their piercings and 18 of them all done with a needle. Did you say you have one in your clit?
And he's got like the bolo.
No,
that's not powdered sugar, kids.
Yeah, I didn't understand that this is heroin the first time I saw it. I kind of grasped it from the dialogue, obviously, but I was kind of, at first when they were breaking it down, I was like, what is that? Just a bunch of different cocaine or something? And then, he explains, the whole what's good and what's bad and, the street stuff.
See, I never noticed that in the background. All the times I see this movie, like the platforms around the.
Yeah, I take it as Rosanna Arquette's character is a stripper. At least that's what I don't know. Maybe she just really likes shoes. I don't know. But she's pretty wild.
I like when he says it here in a bit when he's like, which one is she? The one that has shit all over her face? No, that's Jody. That's my wife.
That's my wife, man. This is kind of a crazy shot where with Stoltz's head in the bottom corner in the mirror, and then with Travolta, facing the camera. It's a strange way to see Eric Stoltz's reactions, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, like I said, this movie has. In watching it, I don't know, man. It blew my mind when I was younger. I saw it on repeat so much back then. I was like, man, I can't get enough of this movie. There's just so much to it,
Yeah. Well, basically, I mean, we've all seen anthology movies before. We're familiar with the concept of 2 or 3 stories that are basically like just cobbled together, and then in the middle there's usually some sort of connecting thread, like a host of the show or whatever, like the crypt keeper type person or whatever. But here, like, we don't really grasp we're watching an anthology movie until towards the end. Like, even though stuff keeps bumping into each other, until it really comes full circle and we figure out how everything is all connected, you don't really know that's what's going on. But it's an awesome way to do an anthology story because it gives you the same thing where you can tell a bunch of different stuff that isn't connected. But if you find some, threads here or there to just bump it all together, it works so strong.
So see here when he's talking about his car getting keyed, like
Mhm.
I always thought it was Willis that did it.
I think I read somewhere it was, but yeah, that's what I always took it as too. That after he mouthed off and to Bruce Willis and they had their little confrontation, or maybe even prior to that or something, the two of them had a confrontation that required Bruce to key up his car. And like this montage stuff, like this is all in Killing Zoe that I was talking about. Like I feel like this is a very Roger Avery section right here.
With that rotoscope, like almost looking in the background with the when
Yeah,
he's driving.
that's actually a weird thing that Tarantino got from De Palma. Well, actually, I think a lot of the French new wave artists did the same thing. They use rear projection like this right there. That's clearly fake as hell looking. Like that's a movie screen in front of his car. De Palma does that a lot in Scarface. Like whenever anybody's driving, you can clearly see its rear projection in the window and the windows outside. And it's supposed to give it like a surrealistic effect as to like when they first started doing it in the 50s and 60s, it was supposed to look more real. It was their version of chroma key or green screen.
What's the name? Oliver Stone does it a lot in Natural Born Killers too.
There you go. Same deal. Yeah. Later on, they kind of figured out the best way to use rear projection is to create some sort of altered state. Like here, that he's obviously on heroin, but later on, when Butch and Esmeralda Villalobos are riding in the taxi, you can see out the back window. It's rear projection. It looks crazy. The way she's driving and the stuff in the background looks almost like Police Squad.
I guess he's like come down from his high at this point.
Yeah, I like how we can tell he's still half faded, like he's walking so slow and carrying himself like almost half slurry. But this whole thing where he's entering her world, like she's luring him in, she leaves him the note, it's all she's just being extra cool.
Well, I wonder if she's just like sizing him up because I know she mentions later you're not like the normal. Like what doesn't she say something like that? You're not like the normal type of people that like her husband has around or whatever. The
Yeah,
lackeys.
does she call him like a hitman? She calls him some name, yeah, or whatever. Like you're not a usual goon or whatever. Like I can't remember what the line is. But yeah, I love how he's just so confused and stumbling around, and like this is a nice comic relief for the audience because up until now there's been a bunch of violence and craziness.
Disco.
And they're doing the same thing they often do. It's what they did with Marcellus Wallace earlier, and what they do in a lot of movies. They do these hero shots where you basically get a glimpse of a character and you don't really totally get a good look at him. Maybe it's from behind, like with Marcellus Wallace, or here we saw her from behind and then we only see her lips. We still haven't had like a full reveal of her face. So it like builds anticipation in the audience. They when you finally reveal the hero's face, it feels very like dun dun dun. Like I always think of Empire Strikes Back when Luke is on the Tauntaun and he's got the scarf across his face and he's going through the snow and then he stops and he takes the scarf off and it's like, hey, it's our guy. Robert Rodriguez is great about hero shots. He understands like really how to present characters in a cool way. I love the lyrics in the captions. Son of a preacher man, just bump along the bottom. It's awesome.
So then let me ask you this: when you were talking about how they showed that other footage in that other film, so it's technically a part of the universe. How do you feel about Great White Hype?
Is it part of this universe? Or, I mean, I've seen the movie, but is it like?
Because there's a part towards the end, right before the last fight, like Samuel Jackson, his character is like Vincent, and there's a guy that looks like Vincent Vega, And he's like,
Awesome.
hey, and then he tells him, say hi to Jules for me. And he shakes his hand. It's like a real like,
Like, yeah, just a light, basically a shout out to the flick he was in.
mm-hmm.
Well, because this really, the early work of Spike Lee gets Samuel L. Jackson a lot of attention, but this is like kind of the first time when he stepped into maybe being able to be an above the title star,
Well, I feel like this launched a lot of people's like careers more so. I mean, it reinvigorated, like you were saying, Bruce Willis, especially John Travolta. Like,
Well, it's funny. I agree. I understand now. At the time, Tarantino talked about like everybody thought, "Isn't it cool you brought back John Travolta?" And he's like, "You don't understand. Like John Travolta is a big star.
mhm.
Like he never faded to me. I grew up on John Travolta. So like you and I are probably in the same boat where people who were big stars in the 90s and can't even get a job now, you and I'd be like, hell yeah, I'll use James Van Der Beek or whatever, like what's old boy Casper Van Dien? Like to
Yeah.
you and I, he's a star, but to other people, it's like I don't know who that is. And that's how he feels about Travolta. Like he grew up on Saturday Night Fever and all these other things, Grease. So the idea to have him was a big get, even though everybody else were like, "Why are you using that old washed up dude?"
I like how he's just like tripping out, like as he's walking through this place. He's like he's like never been to this place, like it's weird, just to think about it nowadays.
Yeah, these those theme restaurants, like you've ever been to Rainforest Cafe or did you ever go to
Mhm.
Planet Hollywood when it was a thing or whatever? Um,
I never went to that one, but at Rainforest Cafe, I have been. They have one here.
yeah, like you go in, you can't kind of help but do the Vincent Vega and just kind of walk around and be like, "There's a bunch of parrots up on the wall up there. All right, hey, a little baby waterfall, cool." Yeah.
I think this was the first time I ever saw Uma Thurman too.
I saw her in Johnny B. Good with the Anthony Michael Hall movie. I think that was her first flick,
Mm.
and but this is the first time I ever like learned who she was or recognized her face and her name together. And this is a fun cameo. We've already had Tim Roth, and now we got Buscemi as Buddy Holly. Hey, I'm Buddy. I'll be your waiter.
It would have been funny if he would have like had something that like was pink.
Yeah. I think he was busy shooting something else when they made this. And he ended up only being able to come in for a day.
$5 shake.
And that's so funny because now that, when you watch this, you feel like at the time it was like a $5 milkshake. Are you crazy? That's like nowadays it'd be like a $30 milkshake.
Hmm.
But now a $5 milkshake, like McDonald's would advertise that, like, hey, $5 milkshakes. Pull over.
That's a steal.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what's funny too is like before we had talked about like doing this. I saw a meme that said like it showed this like this scene like it showed Travolta here. He's like, man complains about a $5 shake, but buys like $1,000 worth of heroin.
Yeah, exactly. That's bad priorities.
Yeah.
All right, our friend Joseph is taking off. It's nice to have you here, buddy. Thanks for dropping by. I know you get
Joseph, man, take it easy.
Like when people were saying Michael Keaton made a comeback with Birdman. Keaton was still popping up movies before that. That's a good example. Like if you and I were told, hey, in your next video, Michael Keaton's going to be in it, we'd be like, hell, Beetlejuice? Are you shitting me? But other people are like, who's Michael Keaton? Yeah.
Kidding me, gun ho?
Mr. Mom? Yeah, Gung Ho. You're the only other person on earth besides me who's seen Gung Ho. Thank you.
Well,
I used to work
Rogers.
Where they made us do like the stand in a circle and do like the duck squats and the raise your arms, like before every, like it was like a factory job, and before like we would have to go do our shifts, they would make us meet for a group meeting and then do stretches, like do side bends and stuff. And every day I'd be trying to explain to somebody, you guys ever seen Gung Ho? No? All right, never mind.
Quietly, they're like,
they know. Michael Keaton, he loved him in Clean and Sober and Pacific Heights. I like Pacific Heights because I think that was the first time I saw Michael Keaton as a bad guy. Like later on he was the Vulture He was really good as the Vulture, but
He was good
Pacific
in Desperate Measures too.
Oh yeah. He plays almost like a Lecter character.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a bad guy genius kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good one.
This is once again brilliant writing and dialogue, like where she teases that her character in the old show she was on would tell a joke. And then he's like, well, tell me one. And she's like, well, I can't now. There's too much like pressure built up to it. There's no way it could actually deliver. Like we were talking about with me in movies. Like if there's just too much expectation, I'm not going to be able to enjoy it. So they kind of bring this up and they drop it. And then after they've had this big long ordeal where he brings her back from the dead and everything, she's like, you want to hear that joke? And the audience is like, oh yeah, the joke.
Yeah, the one joke.
Yeah, you're supposed to get us a joke. Catch up. He was funny in The Other Guys with Farrell and Marky Mark. I never saw that actually.
Oh man, you never seen that? Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
The Other Guys.
It also has The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson in it too.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's really good. Keaton's funny in it.
Is that Gosling and Russell Crowe? Is that one?
No, that's Nice Guys.
Nice Guys. Okay, The Other Guys. I don't think I've ever seen.
Yeah, that one's really good. Damn, that's a really good.
Mayanne says she's still here, kids. Thank you, Mayanne. The separation anxiety was starting to set in. Mayanne, you seen this one before? Any of you in the audience or in the chat tonight or watching along later in the replay, be sure to put in the comments or right now if you've seen this before, what you think of it. Is this your favorite Tarantino? What sparked this watch along with Larry tonight? I was, as I said, I watched Reservoir Dogs last night, and it went well. And we all, so many people in the chat had thoughts about Tarantino, and then people today have been leaving comments on it about their thoughts about Tarantino. And Larry contacted me and said, hey, do you want to get together and maybe talk about favorite and least favorite Tarantino movies sometime? And I was like, well, just come on tonight. Let's watch Pulp. So I think it's a good time to talk about it. What's your favorite and least favorite Tarantino's?
Favorite, Reservoir Dogs. It's always going to be my favorite. Least favorite, it's a toss-up between, and I know it's going to be a hot take with several people or a lot of people, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Hateful Eight.
Those are your least or your seconds? Your least? Wow, okay. You don't like the revisionist history stuff? The historical fiction?
Well, I mean, I think it's because I got overhyped or overexcited for Hateful Eight.
Mm-hmm.
Because before it came out, I remember Tarantino saying, "Oh, it's going back to Reservoir Dogs." So for me, already, I was already like, "Oh man, Reservoir Dogs." I mean, like I said, I absolutely love that movie. I still love that movie. It's still my favorite. And so yeah, when I saw it, I was just kind of like, eh. And then I think it was a follow up to, wasn't it Glorious Bastards was before that one, right?
Yeah, Inglourious Bastards was first, and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was second, or afterwards, whatever.
Yeah, so it was just, and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's like the best part of that was mostly like DiCaprio stuff. Everything else, I was just kind of like, I got bored with.
Hateful Eight, I actually enjoyed a lot because it has elements of things I like. Like I love a good snow movie. And that's the most snowed in movie there is. You know, it's like right there with The Thing. So it's one of those movies you can put on late at night. And the movie, a lot of it takes place in a dark, shed, and there's kind of like the mood lighting. And it's a good one to fall asleep to. You know, I mean, you can get a blanket and curl up, listen to the snow, and then just kind of like hear the dialogue, especially after you've heard it several times, like you kind of can just zone out. Yeah, it's the best napping of his movies. My favorite, I would say, is probably this, because I think it's just a masterwork on so many levels. Like I say, the whole thing where it's a anthology film, but the anthology is tied together. It really should just be a straight linear story, but the fact that it jumps around makes each part of the story feel so important. Like in a minute, coming up here, it's going to immediately just jump to Christopher Walken talking about that silver watch. And that feels like a totally different movie, but it's amazing,
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember back then when this first came out, and again, I saw it so many times, and I remember hearing back then people that didn't like it was because it was confusing. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't see how it's confusing. I mean, if you're really watching the film, it's like you can see how it wraps around. You can see how this is connected to this, or how this is entwined, and they're like, oh well, it's out of order. I'm like, okay, then you're not really paying attention to the film then.
Well, and that this also kind of shows Tarantino. Uh, Traditionally, when you do a movie, it's a three-act structure. You know, first act, second act, third act. I mean, everything is a beginning, middle, and end. But Tarantino frequently tries to use film like the way you would write a novel. So, you know, he'll do chapters, and a lot of his movies have chapters. Um, and this is more intended to fill like Pulp Fiction, a novella. It isn't supposed to play the way a movie does, where first act we meet our characters, second act some sort of plot twist happens, and then third act is resolution. Like this is just almost a meandering tale, and then by the time it's all finished, you realize, oh, wait a minute, there was a whole point to that, and it plays to a conclusion. But I think the star power in it, whether it was big at the time or not, you can keep track of who John Travolta is because it's John Travolta, and you can keep track of who Bruce Willis is because it's Bruce Willis. And at the time, nobody knew who Ving Rhames is, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure nobody confused him with the Samuel L. character. I think you can tell
Right.
them apart pretty easily, so it's easy to follow because the characters are very distinct and feel like fleshed out people that you know.
Yeah, yeah, really. I mean, beyond that, I mean, I would say this is my second favorite, and then it's. I mean, I guess it's pretty much in order. It would be Reservoir Dogs, this one, Jackie Brown, and then Glorious Bastards, and then Django, and yeah, and then trying to think what else. I do like Four Rooms, but I don't know if I consider it like a Tarantino film because it's like, you know, Robert Rodriguez did a story.
Yeah. Once again, an anthology, but not an
Yeah.
intertwined anthology. Like I was saying, that's one where the Tim Roth bellboy character works as like the glue, the caulk in between the tiles of the movie.
Hmm.
Mayanne says that she has seen this movie, but she can't remember the plot. Yeah, it's a very complicated one, but it's fun. Such a good crime drama, and you hang out with like cool, interesting people. We've already met a professional boxer, a mobster, some hitmen, a damn what mobster mall or whatever they call it, gang mall or whatever. And now we've been in this old 50s diner, and we've met Buddy Holly and Ed Sullivan and Marilyn Monroe and
James Dean.
James Dean. Now, see, that's Mamie Van Doren. Uh, my friend Juan is here. Hey,
Hey, brother.
Monroe.
How you doing, brother? Thanks for stopping by, man.
Juan's good people. We like having him here. I survived Don's 2-night Tarantino full tilt boogie, and all I got was this awesome T-shirt. Don't worry, Professor. There'll be more. Actually, Full Tilt Boogie is one I would like to watch. That's a Tarantino adjacent.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I actually got that on that first DVD release for From Dusk Till Dawn. That was really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I that's where I saw it too, and then I always felt like it was like it was worthy of being a full length feature. It didn't feel like a documentary that was attached to a movie. And I used to watch it almost as much as From Dusk Till Dawn. And then when you factor in the From Dusk Till Dawn had a Robert Rodriguez Tarantino commentary. So between the movie, the commentary track, and Full Tilt Boogie, that From Dusk Till Dawn disc was like one of my all time. I'm surprised that thing didn't melt. I played it so much. Let's see here. Historical fiction or not, Overlord is great. Hateful Eight was terrible. Yeah, I liked Hateful Eight. It's what I was talking about last night. It's very Agatha Christie, which is also the same thing like he was talking about with Reservoir Dogs, where we're introduced to a group of people, and then they slowly, one by one, are eliminated from the movie till you get down to what you need. But I think there's a lot of I don't know, unexplored subtext in Hateful Eight. Like from an artsy standpoint, I feel like there's a lot about racism in America. Like the movie starts with like a brown horse and a white horse running neck to neck, and we see Jesus in the snow and stuff. Like there's a lot of artistic imagery up front that's supposed to set a tone that I don't think a lot of people really tap into.
I need to rewatch it.
I actually recommend Netflix, if you have Netflix, has the extended version, and it's in 4 parts, I think, 3 parts or 4 parts. So you watch like an hour and 10, and then another one's like a 47-minute one, and there's maybe only like 8 minutes of extra footage or something, but it's it's a good way to watch it because it feels like you're watching a Netflix series. Stop it. Jackie Brown is the least favorite. No, Jackie Brown. I wonder where I would put Jackie. I'd probably go Pulp, Reservoir Dogs, and then, oh boy, probably Kill Bill is my 3rd favorite. My least favorites are, I'd probably say Kill Bill 2 is my least favorite, and then second to least favorite, maybe Django. I don't know. I'm a fan of Death Proof. A lot of people aren't a fan of Death Proof. I think there's a lot there that's interesting and rewatchable and fun, but I understand a lot of people don't dig it. And I agree with you. If you count 4 Rooms as a Tarantino movie, then yeah, maybe it's closer to the back end because he only has a small part. But if you count it, then you have to count Sin City because he directs that section of that with the Clive Owen section.
Yeah.
Man saying hello to Cal. Once Upon a Time, last 15 minutes, good. Rest overhyped. Give me Jackie Brown over that. Yeah, I think Once Upon a Time is really rewatchable, but it feels, I don't know, the way the time plays out is strange. Like it, once again, Tarantino and time, but it doesn't feel like the reason I think Kill Bill 1 and 2 were split up. Professor and I were talking about this last night. There's such a crescendo after the House of Blue Leaves scene, the Crazy 88s. You almost had to end the movie because you couldn't start a whole other separate, back half of the story.
So, yeah, and then I know you were saying that Kill Bill 2 was like you don't like it as much. See, for me, I actually like Kill Bill Volume 2 because I like the Michael Madsen stuff. Like the Michael Madsen stuff is like really I like
Lonely Grave of Paula Schultz.
Like even when he's like talking with Bill and stuff like that, I like that whole like back and forth between him and Carradine, and I like that stuff, and I feel like it's like a slow. I feel like that one's more of like a slow burner, and then like it builds to that fight with Daryl Hannah, and then like I feel like the ending is a little like, yeah, because it just kind of like, oh man, now she's gonna go and do some damage to Bill, and then all of a sudden it's just kind of like mellows out,
Yeah, the movie itself even talks about like, okay, tomorrow why don't we wake up and meet on the beach at sunrise and have a sword fight, blah blah blah, and then they end up having like a shootout in the living room. Like, kind of would love that. But the part 2 does have all the Pai Mei stuff, and that's all great. The Hattori Hanzo sword and all that.
When he takes Daryl Hannah's eye out, I was like, oh man, that's some good stuff.
She poisoned his fish heads. Told this on today's stream, but Kill Bill 1 and Inglourious Bastards are my 2 fave Tarantinos. See, there you go. That's one of the things I like about Tarantino is people do often have different favorites. Like you and I are very aligned, but I like this a little more than Reservoir, and you like Reservoir a little more than this. And you ever had this experience in your life where you have to like go, you're on a date or whatever, and you have to go have your talk with yourself in the mirror in the bathroom?
When I was younger, yeah.
Yeah.
Many times.
It's happened. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna go
and
in and say good night.
Then I came out and she was ODing, so I just left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't take her to your friend's house. No, it's just all right, lady. You have a good night.
Yeah, this part always messes with me, man.
Well, this plays into what I was talking about, where the heroin in the baggies to a person who's not knowledgeable about that drug looks like cocaine. So you got this kind of like spoiled housewife of a mobster who doesn't have to work or nothing, and she gets coked up all the time, so she doesn't recognize it. Especially since it wasn't in a balloon, like they say. Let's see here. Thanks for doing this stream tonight. I need to hang out with y'all. Thank you, man. That was actually the total reasoning for do this. Like I said last night, we did it with Reservoir Dogs, but it was very late, so I kind of wanted to have one slightly more early. Get my boy in the house with us, especially since this week's Into House was canceled. If you're wondering what happened to it, we postponed it for 1 week. Although our tagline for the show is still not canceled, we are sometimes postponed.
Postponed but not canceled.
There you go, Larry. There's Russell calling Mayanna Chuck. Lay amen. Don, love Death Proof. Yeah, I enjoy Death Proof a lot. We may have to have a watching of that at some point. Didn't like Hollywood film because it made fun of Bruce Lee. Yeah, that's actually what most people disliked about that movie. I talked about it last night. It's a thing that has gone around for years. Like many of us have heard about Steven Seagal being rough with his stuntmen and treating them like crap and actually punching them for the good take. Not a lot of people are willing to go out on a limb and talk about Bruce Lee like that. So Tarantino basically kind of put his balls on the table and was like, well, I'm big enough to maybe tackle that legend. And he wasn't. People were like, man, you ain't got no right to talk about Bruce Lee like that. Shut up.
And that's another thing I just noticed. He's eating Fruit Brute.
Yeah. This was before the relaunch of the monster cereals. Like for many years there, like in the 80s and the 90s, they fizzled away and you couldn't get them. And then later on, they came back. Like, me and we get them every Halloween. But Fruit Brute was long gone. Like it was around when I was a little kid, and then it had been off the shelves and hadn't been made for, 20, 25 years. But Tarantino's a cereal fiend like we are too. He knows all the classic old ones and the monster cereals and stuff. Professor says, every time I talk to myself in the mirror, I see a buddy that got mauled by a werewolf, made shaving a bitch. I tell you what. A European workout. Three Stooges being Jewish, they dress up as Nazis or Satan Claus. I wasn't aware of that. Chuck is a British pet name. Yeah, we had talked about that once before. None of us had ever heard that before. You laid that one on us. This is if you watch this scene right here where the convertible crashes into the house, you can see how they do it. Like we see the point of view from inside the house and the car drive by, and then Eric Stoltz slowly opens up the door and walks out, and they've already got like a crashed car parked. Basically a dummy car drives by to make you think they crashed, and then they've already got the pre-crashed one outside. I like that Marcellus Wallace has so much juice. You can just say the name and everybody's like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
like
they just start flipping out.
Yeah. I'm going to be forced to tell him you did not help. Man says she's Russell's pet. Oh, that's sweet. You too.
Especially it being like, like California, like Los Angeles, because this is happening in like Los Angeles, right?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the municipalities. It might be Orange County or some crap. I don't know. Yeah. Because they even talk about that in the movie, like, oh, this number is a valley number, or you in the 016 or whatever, like they.
Yeah, and Inglewood and all that stuff. So it's like clearly he's like they're in California. So for Marcellus to be like that, like, oh man,
that fear that plugged in. This guy's name is Lance. Eric Stoltz character. Lance was the name of Quentin Tarantino's boss at the video store. He famously was a guy who worked at a video store, and he gets people say his video store was his film school, and that's total crap. Like he was like us. He knew movies his whole life, and then because of that, he got a job at a video store because he could help people. And then his shift manager or boss at the video store was Lance. So Lance, the name, turns up in all sorts of these movies. Same with Marvin. Last night, the cop's name was Marvin Nash, and then now this guy who's going to get shot in the face in a minute is Marvin.
Yeah, I like the nonchalant conversation when that happens. He's like, "Oh man, I think I shot Marvin in the face." Like it's
He,
so
oh
like,
man, I shot Marvin in the face. And just the gravity of this scene. I mean, I've never lived this situation, but obviously I'm up at like 3 and 4 in the morning. And when I was a younger person who would be out at bars and doing stuff late night, like late night house parties are weird. Like everybody's kind of half drunk and some people are half asleep and the house is sort of empty and creepy. And this just totally feels like that vibe. The same way that bar, yeah, stabbing motion. Like, so I got to stab her 3 times. And then look at Patricia Arquette. I think I called her, or no, Rosanna Arquette. Sorry, Patricia's the other one. Look at her face. She's just digging it. She loves that this is going on.
And then the off-brand Rose McGowan starts like creeping into.
I would. You know what I mean? If this was going on in front of me, I'd get up and have a better look. The suspense of this is great. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, you just see like they're all sweating and all like, oh man.
Yeah. And the second it goes in, she like has the jump scare pop up. Here you can totally see the fake chest. Like that's obviously a special, a latex chest on her bustier and stuff there. In the HD transfer, it doesn't look as good. It doesn't quite match her face tone.
Mm-hmm.
That was fucking trippy. But such a good way to like blow the balloon up full of tension and get us all hyped up and have a crazy, like the same way the scene where they go visit the guys in the apartment ends with the shooting. Like this one ends with the the stabbing scene, and then they're all like, that was trippy.
Yeah.
You fill the balloon up and get us excited, then you slowly let the air out. Then you start putting air, tension back into the balloon. Tarantino's a master at that. Here's your joke. But I love that they have this talk. Like he's still scared for his life. Like, man, if Marcellus finds out about this, I'm going to be so dead. Oh, let's see here. Don, how's it going, Chuck? Thank you, Russell. Speaking of video stores, how awesome was it to see Roberto pop up yesterday? Yeah, I was happy to see Rob turn up in JT's discussion chat that they had yesterday. I've been messaging him off and on in Instagram, trying to get him to either come on into house or have me go on and watch something with him on his channel. He doesn't have that same energy that he normally has for making videos, and I've gone through that too. So that's why I can't begrudge him. The climbing that mountain is tired sometimes. So while he's taking a little break, I've just been trying to encourage him as often as possible and remind him that we all love and miss him and wish he'd come hang out. So it was cool that he did turn up. That made me happy to see him around. It felt like having one of our lost family members. A lost brother came home for a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Donnie, maybe you want to watch 388. I like that deepish. Yeah, that's the thing. On a basic level, it's a pretty basic bitch movie. It's just a bunch of people trapped in a shed killing each other. But like when you start digging into like the racial subtext of like, all these different, what all the characters is, there's a Mexican character, and then there's the black character, and there's the cracker racist, Civil War guy. And, like each person fills into a character niche. Monroy's heading out. God, have a good night. Nice. Thanks for joining us, Juan.
Thanks for stopping by, brother. Take it easy, man.
I kind of like Hateful Eight because of Kurt Russell. Yeah, even there's a real complicated thing where Kurt Russell's kind of the hero of the movie, but he's also a man who punches a woman in the face. So you're conflicted. It's like, I kind of don't like him, even though he's the good guy hero of the movie. And same with Walter Goggins. He's the hero of the Walton Goggins, whatever. He's like a hero in the movie as well, but he's also says a bunch of racist crap. And
mm-hmm.
So here's the young Butch in the watch. Christopher Walken shows up and steals the movie.
It's just crazy how he had so many of these like big stars, like for like these little.
Well, I think that's how you do it is you can get him to come in for a day, but if you need him for an entire, 2 or 3 months to shoot a movie, it's much more expensive, but you can get Walken for a day. Well, I'm thinking about it, that lady in the background who plays Butch's mom,
Mhm.
that's or grandma or whatever she is. That's Quentin Tarantino's acting teacher. She's also the woman that gets kidnapped in From Dusk Till Dawn,
Oh,
the one
wow.
that Tarantino takes in the bedroom or whatever. And yeah, that's her. I love that scene in the beginning when we see them riding down the road in that cool ass car and they pan to the back and you see that woman
Yeah,
trapped in the trunk. Yeah, the little Superman vision. um, let's see. She says, I hope he returns soon. Yeah, I want Rob to be there too. Jackie Brown, Django, Kill Bill, top 3. I haven't seen Inglourious though. Inglourious is wild, man. It feels like this. There are so many sections. The opening scene feels like one section, and then the whole Bear Jew section, and then the stuff at the end where they burn down the theater and all. Like I don't know. It feels like a bunch of different movies. The way a lot of his stuff does. Django, big Jamie Foxx fan. Jamie Foxx is very talented. Everybody's saying goodnight to Juan. Juan's the guy. Oh, I know I don't like Jen in that movie. It was a lot. Let's see here. You think Tarantino has another movie in him? Because didn't he say long ago he retired? Yeah, he's claiming 10 movies. I believe he's currently working on one. I don't know if he's writing it or if he's already moved on to shooting stages or what. But I know that there was a long time, we talked about this last night, there was a lot of discussion about doing a Vega Brothers movie with Michael Madsen and John Travolta as Vincent and Vic Vega. There was also a talk of doing The Bride like 20 years later, like going back and having Uma do another Bride and maybe have that girl, the daughter of Vivica Fox, the one from the beginning that lives, like have her come for revenge and get her revenge and have a list and everything. But I don't know if we're ever going to get to it.
Yeah, I mean that's why I was so hyped when I had heard about the Vega Brothers thing back in the day. I was really hoping that would have been a thing.
Yeah, I'm wondering now if they would remake it and just recast it, or if they would try to do that like CGI de-aging thing or whatever they would do. Cal says that Death Proof is extremely underrated, though. Yeah, very, especially if you're a fan of like 1970s movies like Vanishing Point and stuff. You can see all the DNA that made that movie. I was pointing out last night, Death Proof was the first movie I ever saw that had a text love scene. Like nowadays, most people's relationships are a lot of text messaging back and forth. And that was the first time I ever saw in a movie like romantic music playing while a girl gets a text from the boy she likes. And then they show her smile and kind of blush as she's responding. And it was way ahead of its time for a throwback movie. It was very clever. Have you got this whole speech memorized, Larry? The Christopher Walken?
Be damned if some, yeah.
Gonna have his hand on his birthright. She kept this uncomfortable hunk of metal up his ass.
Possess.
The watch.
That dysentery. Give me the watch.
Which is funny because most people don't know that dysentery is diarrhea. So the fact that he had this watch up his ass and he died of diarrhea, it makes it extra little man, I give the watch to you. And then later on when Bruce tells his girlfriend, like, my father went through a lot for that watch. So just don't worry about what it was, just a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Bruce almost has hair.
Yeah, I know.
He's thin and bad, but
hair plugs.
Yes, Kill Me 3 Wait and seems like a series at this point. But also there's that part in Kill Bill in the Kill Bill 1 where they go to I don't know. I'm racist. I call it Japanimation. What's it called nowadays?
Animation? Just anime?
Just regular anime. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Specifically Eastern art, comics or cartoons, I should say. When they do that whole anime section in there, I would like to see more like that. You know what I mean? There's no reason Tarantino couldn't write something like that could be animated. Esmeralda Villalobos.
But it's funny though, because he doesn't sound Hispanic.
No.
What is it?
I love it.
kill a man.
I like to, what's it? Yeah, because you could tell she's all horned up by it. Like, what's it like to kill a man?
Well, he even
This is
asks her, right? He even tells her, like, what are you, some sort of freak?
yeah, exactly. You know, well, she's just into the strength of men, I guess, even if they're villains. Yeah, here's where I was talking about where when they cut to Bruce, there's like wicked rear projection going on outside the window. And this feels super cool that when everything goes south with the fight, that you know Travolta and them are all part of it, and you know walking around in the arena and all that. It just ties it all together. Let's see here. I have the DVD collector's edition of Ray with Jamie Foxx playing Great Charles. Yeah, he is great in that. I don't think a 30, 20 plus year sequel would work. I'd rather see Tarantino make another original story, maybe something sci-fi-ish. At one point, there was talk of him, a Star Trek and a Star Wars. Yeah, Star Trek he really wanted to do. And then when they did Star Wars and J.J. Abrams did the first one and they were trying to find people to do more, Tarantino was one of the people they wanted to talk to. And he was intrigued, but he wanted to do his own thing. And Disney wasn't going to have that for 1 second. You
know? No way, man.
Yeah. Yeah, there's your the rear projection as Bruce is taking off his gloves. You can watch out the back window. It looks insane.
I think you also see it in Sin City too, right? They do a lot of that in Sin City too, I think.
Yeah, for sure. This really reminds me of the way it looks in Scarface. A lot of the stuff where Pacino's in the back of the car driving through Miami, just the stuff in the back just is clearly a movie playing. I love all this part right here, where he's like, you know, what's your name? And she's like, Esmeralda Villalobos. And then he says, you know, my name's Butch. And she's like, well, what's that mean? He's like, I'm American. Our names don't mean anything or whatever. But his name is Butch. Mm-hmm. You know, like he's clearly, his character is about as Butch gets, you know. I think this part, a lot of the boxing stuff is a Roger Avery stuff. Most people think of this as written and directed by Tarantino, but it was directed by Tarantino and written by Roger Avery and him. They won the best screenplay together. But they got trounced at the Academy Awards and the Golden Globes and everywhere because Forrest Gump came out this same year and won all the awards. So it's often considered like, you know, can you believe Pulp Fiction lost to Forrest Gump?
I like how he's just like throwing stuff out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they're like driving along, you know, and all of a sudden, like, his towel hits like some other car behind them, and you know, his gloves hit another car behind them.
Yeah, Tony Rocky Hara's car. Mm-hmm. Have a great night, Jason. We thank you for coming by, man. I appreciate it. I think it's the first time Jason maybe joined us. So yeah, thank you for dropping by, man. I appreciate it. I always like when folks who aren't part of the usual crew pop in. Good night, Jason. Good night, Jason. That's Forrest Gump. Honestly, one of the best movies of all time. I don't know. I liked Forrest Gump for what it was. It's a crazy, like it tells the story of a man's life, and then it shows like how it's basically almost like It's a Wonderful Life. Like you see all the different times in history and all the stuff that you know connects to the guy's life. But as far as like a daring adventure and stuff, I think this is far more artistic and you know important in movie history than Forrest Gump is. Although Forrest Gump had a lot of CGI stuff in it that was important.
I know it was like really good CGI. I mean, even for the time, if you go back and watch it now, I still feel like it holds up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the stuff with Captain Dan and all that, and the you know the de-aging or making Tom Hanks look young. A lot of that was mainly just makeup.
Well, even the other stuff with like John Lennon and showing like Richard Nixon, like all those scenes where they're showing like the people that have you know passed on and stuff.
I kind of love how Bruce Willis is like justifying it to him. It's like, dude died. And he's like, well, he shouldn't have gotten in the ring if he wasn't such a bad fighter. You know, he should have known. And then
Mr.
Bruce
Butch.
Willis. Bruce Willis's girlfriend, when he goes and sees her, I'm drawing a blank on her name, the blueberry pancakes girl, Fabian. That's her name, Fabian. My name is Fabi. Like where she's just sitting around, she wishes she had a pot belly like Madonna, like that little Madonna bit takes you back to Reservoir Dogs and all that. She's a funny character.
Yeah, she's like really, and then just seeing her also, it's like you feel for her too when he's like yelling at her, and then she's just so like, she gives that little sad puppy dog look.
It makes, I mean, it's kind of sexist, but it weighs the way men feel sometimes, where it's like, you know, she does something bad and he can't yell at her because then she'll make the like sad face. It's almost like yelling at a little kid or something. It's like, now I feel bad for yelling at you. You know, like the whole situation where, yeah, the way he becomes around her, he's not the butch in charge of everything. He's not the hero of the movie. Like she kind of tells him what to do almost.
Mm-hmm.
I want blueberry pancakes. Will you give me oral pleasure? Yeah, the soundtrack is phenomenal to Forrest Gump. That was one of the first movies that had like just a killer cobble soundtrack, like where they got together a bunch of different most soundtrack movies are like original songs written for the movie, like Dream Warriors or something. But Forrest Gump, like they managed to get all the right music from the right eras, you know. And then people copied those songs over and over. Every time I see a Vietnam movie, I see Run Through the Jungle by Creedence. Hey, Patrick's here. Have Cheetah Will join us.
Hey, Patrick, how's it going?
Let's see here. The professor says, hot take, while I respect the effect of putting Tom Hanks in that historical footage, I'm not a fan of Forrest Gump. Seen it a few times and still don't like it. I also hate Jenny. Freaking Jenny. Yeah, Jenny's a complex character. It's hard to like her, but at the same time, you kind of do. I mean, I don't know. She's such a pretty, likable woman, but she's just such a kind of also an unlikable woman. The whole, living the life she lived. And
well,
these
it's
two.
like, then she goes on and plays, she's in 2049, so I liked her in that. But no, Jenny, she's just a horrible person, man. Like that character is just so like, oh my god, I feel so bad for like Forrest so many times in that movie. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, Cal. I feel like I hate to admit it. I take the regular crew as part of as for granted. These are my friends, my peeps. If I'm having a party, I expect you guys to be at the party. But every now and then, some rando shows up. I'm like, who's this guy in my kitchen? I'm like, oh, you're cool, Jason Entertainment. Hang out, brother.
drinking all my Ripple.
Yeah, who drinking my Ripple? Mix it with champagne, pimple. Hoot hoot. Lost in Space, Kurt Russell. Jason, good Pixar, certainly one of the greats. Man on the Moon biopic. Andy Kaufman, played by Jim Carrey. Still love that film.
That was good.
Patrick agrees that Jenny was not a nice person at all. He says, Cal says nobody likes Jenny fully, but it's understandable. And there are many Jennies out there, right? I thought you just put that shit on a coffee cup, Cal. There are many Jennies out there.
At least 12 Jennies.
Hey, Mayan's laughing. She's apparently familiar with Red Fox's Sham Pipple jokes. Fabian, are you still retiring?
Sure am.
We're not at the finish yet, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
Yeah, whose motorcycle is this? It's not a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper. Whose chopper is this? Which is funny because now for the rest of my life, I've never mistaken a motorcycle and a chopper. I will call a chopper from that day forward. I learned. Calling me the regular schmegular. Man, you're the most regular. If I had a party and May didn't show up, I'd turn the party off. I'd make everyone else go. And Mr. Bones is here. Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Zed's dead.
When you find those Jennies, learn from Forrest and run. Put that on a coffee cup. Cal's got a new coffee cup company started on Etsy. Who doesn't love Red Fox? Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you.
I'm coming, Elizabeth.
Lamont, you big dummy, I'll give you 5 across your lips. Let's see here. Get to the chopper. That's a totally different chopper. Murder May. How are you doing? Butch and Fabian are getting it on, and it's mildly awkward. Let's let's see what we got here. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to continue without disabling. The critics, this is a rare one. Wow. On Rotten Tomatoes, the critics give it 92% fresh. So clearly that's one of the highest ones you've ever seen. Audience score, 96%. So in my time of doing these movies and checking to see what they're rated on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, that's the highest movie I've ever seen rated. 96 and 92. That's unheard of. Most things are lucky to get into the 80s.
What about Shawshank?
That's a good question. I believe Shawshank probably is, because Shawshank is the highest rated movie on IMDb, or at least it was at one point. But I believe Pulp Fiction was the second most favored movie. Shawshank Redemption is less. It's a 98% audience score, so higher, but 89% critic score. Yeah, so actually, Pulp does better with the critics, but Shawshank does slightly better with the audience. And then on IMDb, it is an 8.9 out of 10. I have it listed as a 10 out of 10 on my personal rating. I've watched, I think I've rated more than 5,000 movies on IMDb, and I've only given out 110 tens. So, yeah, I'm very stingy with my tens. And this is a 10 to me. Yeah, for sure. I grade on a bell curve. Out of those 5,000 that I've rated, almost all of them are at 5, 6, or 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. Nothing's ever a 1 and nothing's ever a 10. I don't speak Bora Boran either. ¿Dónde está la zapatería? Where is the shoe store?
It's interesting. He's like, spit, please.
Yeah, because he didn't want the. You ever kiss somebody right after they brush their teeth? It seems like it'd be nice. It's not. It's brutal. It's brutal. Especially if they use mouthwash. If they brush their teeth and they go with some Listerine or something. No, it's like a medicine-y. It's not fun.
I don't think I have.
Like I said, I'm a late night person, so a lot of my time early on was meeting up with people after bars. So usually you brush your teeth to get rid of the alcohol smell, and it's like the toothpaste or the Listerine or whatever is not helping. Bones, boy, Bones. Let's go with it. Red Fox. I saw Casino Rama in Ontario. Yeah, I would love to see Red Fox. He's awesome. I rode a chopper years ago with long forks. Nice. I'm not man enough to ride a motorcycle like that. I'd like to try it to see how it feels, but I'd be so scared I'd crash that mug. 5,000 ranked films. Holy cow. Yeah. See, Patrick, I tell that to some people and they're just like, oh, is that about normal? I'm like, no, most people they probably only rate a couple, maybe 100 or 2, but sometimes every time I watch a movie, I immediately go to IMDb and rate it. Which is weird when you consider that's probably only a quarter of the movies I've seen in my life. Because how many of stuff did we watch in the 80s on cable and things? And it's I never went back and, rated Screwballs or Porky's 2 or whatever, so yeah, I'm constantly discovering stuff that I never actually ranked.
Well, yeah. I mean, you see stuff and then you're like, oh, that's right. And then you can go back and rank it,
Yeah, I'll watch, or I'll watch Leviathan. And then I'll go rank Leviathan, even though I've, seen it several times, but I'll make sure I have it on there. And then it'll say, you might also like Deep Star 6. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to rate Deep Star 6 while I'm here. And it just becomes a rabbit hole of rating movies that I've seen.
Blueberry pancakes with maple syrup.
Eggs over easy and 5 sausages.
Anthony Driven. I like how he's dressing up nice, and then it's like he changes to look more, I guess, dressed down to go get the watch.
Yeah, I think he's trying to dress more fancy because they're getting ready to go away on their trip or whatever. But then when he needs to be more, like a tough guy, and he might have to have some business to handle, he puts on more. He makes sure he has jeans on and his suede coat. Let's see here. Patrick says he's still watching the 5th season of Emergency. We were talking about Emergency once before with Patrick. It was a TV show I saw so much when I was a kid. It was about it's about paramedics, but they're really an emergency crew. They work out of a fire department. And the guy who owns the Double Deuce in Roadhouse was one of the main stars of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's where I'd first seen him. But once again, we're back at great writing. We are 1 hour, 8 minutes left, or just under 109. So 108, 53, 52, 51. So I love this, that we had the buildup of the story of the watch and what happened to it, and the whole big ordeal. So when the watch is introduced to this story, we're like, oh shit. Yeah. Fabienne kind of only did have one job, and she blew it. It's like, do you think she did it on purpose? Do you think she was like, she hated that watch because he loved the watch more than her? Or do you think she just didn't give a shit about the watch?
No, I think it's just like, well, I mean, I'm assuming she packed everything. Like she, got everything. She packed everything for them, and it's like that's how he made it sound, because he was like, "Did you get this?" And then she even said where it was, bedside table, and he's like, on the kangaroo, and she's like, yeah.
Because doesn't he tell her though, like, I told you, you could settle the rest of that shit on fire, but don't lose my watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems almost like the fact that she did forget the watch, the one main thing she was supposed to get. I always feel like that's kind of I don't know, the way like a cat might piss on your shoes or something, like it's just like trying to like be angry at you and take it out on you in some way. I like watch. But he says, I should have told you that. You're not a mind reader.
Are you?
That's often how my pathology as a person works, what he went through there, like where you have that angry emotion at first, and then you have to like calm yourself down and rationalize, like, okay, this isn't this person's fault. I'm raising my voice on this. You know what I mean? Like you have to recenter yourself to your Zen.
Mm-hmm.
But for late 40s or whatever he is, Bruce is pretty damn fit. He looks like he could beat somebody's ass. I don't know if he could beat him to death, but he looks like he could fight.
I saw the watch. I thought I brought it.
Here's some money. Go get those pancakes. Have a nice breakfast. You can just like totally he's like defeated as a man. Like, oh Jesus, I can't believe it. And then when they show him in the car and he's like hitting the steering wheel and he's all mad. I had to crash that Honda, baby. Thank you. I knew Patrick would put it in there. Kevin Teague or whatever. That's the guy from Roadhouse. That's in Emergency. Peter Fonda wrote a chopper in Dennis Hopper's film Easy Rider. Yeah, that is a chopper. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Go ahead, Pat. Go ahead, Larry.
No, I was going to say that I rewatched Roadhouse on Friday.
You did?
Yeah.
I'm overdue to watch the new Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah. See, I probably could have seen that, but I watched the original. I was just like, I had to go back and watch a comfort food movie. And I was just like, oh man, Roadhouse. It's like the two perfect hairdos of what's her name and Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, Kelly Lynch. Her and Patrick have the same exact haircut. They have the same exact haircut. Cheetah says that dogs piss on shoes and the cats are innocent angels. He could fight today, but forget 5 minutes later. Yeah, that's a good point. Michael Winslow from Police Academy Films did a great AGT act. First time on the telly. America's Got Talent, I'm assuming. Now this part here, this apartment complex he's going into, is this the same apartment complex that Jackie Brown lives in? Like when Robert Forster takes her home and walks her up and they play Natural High by Bloodstone. I'm almost positive this is the same apartment building.
I wouldn't be surprised, but it's been a while since I've seen Jackie Brown.
Because last night, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say last night we noticed in Reservoir Dogs when Tim Roth is talking to his boss, whatever the police guy with the Fidel Castro cap on with the red communist logo on it or whatever. It looks like Chairman Mao. The whole commode story. The diner they're in, when he's like, Joe Cabot looks like the friggin' thing. They're in the Honey Bunny diner from the beginning of Pulp Fiction. Yeah, like you can tell by the rocks on the wall. So that's make me think that he might have, like, maybe this was the apartment complex he lived in when he was poor or something. I don't know.
It was right on the kangaroo. That looked like a cat to me, but I guess.
Yeah, but that's a funny bit of business. You know, like it was on the ear of the kangaroo. It's like, what kind of grown ass man has a porcelain kangaroo in his house, dude? Like, what are you, 5? You got a blankie too?
Yeah, it's like his thumb.
Yeah,
holding the watch like.
And he puts his Pop-Tarts in wrong. You're supposed to put them in sideways so they get cooked evenly. His Pop-Tarts are going to cook lighter on top. But I like that he felt comfortable enough with the situation once he retrieved the watch to put in some Pop-Tarts. Like, hey, I'm going to be all right. I can have a Pop-Tart.
Yeah, until he sees the Snake Plissken gun.
Sorry, Patrick said Chairman Meow, and I had to flip him off. I'm sorry, Patrick. I did that on its own. Let's see here. Russ, there's more good remakes than people realize. Yeah, there are actually. People often rag on remakes, but there are a handful that are really good. If you do something different with the source material and kind of give a creative new twist on it, but if you just say we're going to make a very similar movie this time with girls, or this time we're going to make a movie and it's going to be all young, pretty actors and actresses or whatever, it's like no reason to remake it. You know, give me a new story. How did you feel the first time you saw John Travolta dead in this?
I was like, I mean, it seemed like it was like a bit shocking, but not really, because it's like going back to the whole scene where clearly he had an issue with him, you know? Like I almost wish, like, what would it have been like if they would have gone hand to hand, even though he's a boxer, you know? I feel like Travolta would probably do some, like, pull a knife, you know, it would be like almost like a knife fight against a boxer or something, you know? But I feel like Travolta would be tough enough to kind of take him on a little bit.
I feel like what they would do is an early version of the Kill Bill 2 trailer scene. You know, like the two of them would just bang through the walls and hit each other hard and stuff. But it almost kind of needed to be the way it was, with just the getting shot coming out of the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like he let his guard down, you know?
Mm-hmm. But I like that Travolta is like clearly Marcellus Wallace's like right-hand man. He's there at the boxing thing. He's there to try to get Bruce. He's there to take out his wife if he needs him to. He's there to go get the briefcase back. You know, he's clearly one of the main dudes.
Well, I think because at this point, Jules is already gone. Right? Because spoiler alert, folks, this is already past the whole diner scene that's going to be ending off the film.
Yeah, because Travolta's alive in the diner scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Just wander the earth like Kane from Kung Fu?
I just don't dig on swine, that's all.
I just don't dig on swine. Pigs eat and root in their own shit. It's not a clean animal. Let's see here. Patrick says the True Grit remake was better than the original. I actually agree with that. Although I see that Russell does not, or where is it? Russell does not. I like the Coen Brothers remake of True Grit. I thought it was really
Yeah,
well
it's pretty
made.
good.
Especially to see them do a Western. Oh, I love this scene where Ving Rhames is crossing the street and he sees Bruce Willis and he looks at him and he, motherfucker. Makes me laugh every time. And then he hits him with the car and
See, my thing was like Marcellus Wallace like goes and gets his own donuts.
yeah.
You
I
know,
took it as him and Travolta were together at the apartment, and then Travolta, he took a walk down the street to go get some donuts, and then Travolta was
interesting. I never thought of it that way.
because it's weird that they're both awake and kind of only a block or two apart or whatever. Like, so yeah, I kind of took it that Marcellus Wallace and him were holding down the fort, and then I don't know if he drove to go get donuts or ran around the block or what, but there's Kathy Griffin's cameo. Such a strange cameo now. At the time, she was totally unknown, but now it's like, why is Kathy Griffin just pop up for a second? Now that part when Marcellus misfires or aims badly and shoots old girl in the hip, like it makes me laugh every time. And it's supposed to be tragic and horrible. Like, oh my God, that poor woman was just trying to help and she got shot in the hip. But it's so funny. We talked about this last night with split screen diopter. There was your shot. A lot of times you need something in the foreground in focus and something way in the background in focus. So a character will lean against a wall, usually in horror movies. And then the line where they're leaning against is where you do the split screen cut. So you can get two shots in focus at once.
The other thing I was going to say is that alleyway where he's like running down and Marcellus is behind him. It almost looks like the alleyway from Reservoir Dogs.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. I think a lot of these, like I said, how he always has a Lance or a Marvin and, there's all these people, the Vegas and stuff. He creates this world and builds it into it. And it all just ties together and feels connected like all of these movies in their own way. And we're getting ready to get to that in a second. When Bruce, you're familiar with all the weapons in the pawn shop and how they connect to the movies?
Well, I mean, because the sword and all the other stuff.
Yeah, later. So here they've knocked out Bruce, and they're going to take him down to the basement, and the gimp scene is going to happen. And this is just scary as hell. But when Bruce Willis comes up and is trying to find weapon to go back down and kill the rapist, he picks up he goes through a bunch of different things. And like one of the things he picks up is a hammer, and it's the hammer from Django, and the baseball bat from Inglourious Bastards, and the samurai sword is the Hattori Hanzo sword, presumably the one Bud was. Well, actually, they found Bud's under the bed, so it's not his. But maybe they sold it later or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he gets a chainsaw, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's like a mini one.
Yeah.
God, this part is so like.
Yeah, disturbing. It's hard not to just like, yeah. Because I like that they both, they come to, they're asleep, and they wake up with the ball gags in their mouth, and they kind of realize, wait a minute, this isn't usual. What the hell? Like, this is some extra level of what the hell.
Is it me or Zed? That's Zed.
And this is a Redfoot from Usual Suspects.
See, this part of the film always, like, back then used to be like, it kind of takes you out for a second, like it's a different movie.
Oh, for sure. The movie put itself on pause, and now we're in like 5 minutes of Hostel. And I like that. I like that Zed is a security guard. Like that kind of adds to who he is and his character. Like we don't need to know anything about him, but there's been plenty of times when we've seen security guards and it's like that dude don't look like he's security for anybody. Yeah, this is all just so weird because we don't really know what's going on. And even then when they're like, go get the gimp, like we kind of wonder, like, what are you talking about? Like, the their confusion. And I once again, great writing because they're in a blood feud. They're literally trying to kill each other before they get caught up in this. And then the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or vice versa.
Mhm.
So, and that's kind of what it becomes. They don't need to settle their difference because they both go through this trauma, and then they're like, okay, whatever happened with me and you is done, but don't show your face in LA no more. Get your LA card revoked.
Well, it's kind of like you get that also with Mia and Travolta. Like we just
Yeah.
went through this traumatic thing, so this is between us. We shared something. You know what I mean?
I really liked when right after the fight was thrown and we saw Travolta and the bartender go into the back room, the locker room, and Mia opens the door to let him in to go talk to Marcellus, and you can see Mia and Vincent exchange just like a little look, like we both have a thing that we're
Mhm.
connected in a way that, but at the same time, he's not trying to stare her in the eyes in front of Marcellus, like he's not going to get thrown out of a window.
Like how she's like, "Oh, I forgot to thank you for dinner."
No problem.
Man, this part too, man. Just the whole like eeny meeny miny mo is like it's just like, oh man.
Yeah, once again, this is like you were saying, the scene with the adrenaline shot to the chest. Count it down, 3, 2, 1, and that's how this is. They're just stretching it. It's the Alfred Hitchcock thing. You create suspense by telling the audience what's going to happen or making them wonder what's going to happen, then stretching it so they start to get uncomfortable waiting for it to happen. Hitchcock, the way I always go back to him because he's created so much of early film and film language. But his thing was, he's like, a regular thriller, we have two people talking and we see that there's a bomb underneath the table and then the bomb goes off. But in suspense, we see there's the bomb under the table, but they start having talking and they discuss what they're going to have for dinner, and we're all just kind of on the edge of our seat waiting for the bomb to explode. And that's the difference between like suspense and action or whatever. So this movie is very good at suspense, drawing out the tension, making us wait for it to happen and building anxiety and stuff.
I'm just curious like who's like who did this whole like part come from, you know?
I'm guessing this is Roger Avery stuff. He's into some weird things, but um, this is another one of those scenes where I think we see like a little glimpse of what's going on to Marcellus through the door
Mhm.
later on, but it's kind of like that ear scene in Reservoir Dogs. Most of it's in the imagination. We know what's going on, so the little glimpses is all we need to make it awful.
Yeah, because I mean you hear the off screen what's going on. You
Hmm.
vaguely see it as he's first walking in with the sword, you know.
Hmm. And
But even here it
not.
shows you like even though they're against each other, he's got a conscience, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, he can't just abandon the guy or whatever in that situation.
I wonder if it's because he was like, that could have been me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what his total motivation is because it seems like he'd be happy that this dude is off his case and he could get away for a minute, but he goes back. So there's the hammer from Django, right? And then there's the bat from Inglorious. There's the chainsaw.
That's a really small chainsaw.
Yeah, it is. That's like the kind you would cut bushes with.
And it's like, oh, this will be bad. This will be
Yeah.
cool. Imagine he goes down there and it's like it wasn't sharp.
Yeah. Well, once you unsheath a Hattori Hanzo sword, it has to drink blood before it can go back in.
But even here, it's like it's like a slow tension, like slow build. Like it because it's like that slow, like down
Yeah.
the stairs. Like he's like got it out. Like he doesn't know what he's gonna see. Did the guy wake up? The gimp? Did he wake up again? And
Well, this is that suspense thing, the Hitchcock thing. He could have just
Mhm.
ran down there. Oh dear Lord. Yeah, he could have just ran down there and attacked everybody like a crazy person, but he just takes his slow time. And then this guy Maynard, that's the dude with the pussy wagon, right? And Kill
Mhm.
Bill. Yeah. I love this line. Me and Mr. Soon to be spending the rest of his life in agonizing fucking pain rapist over here. Or spend the rest of his short ass life. That's what it is. Spend the rest of his short ass life in agonizing pain.
I like this part right here was like, step aside, Butch.
Yeah, they went from Godzilla versus Kong suddenly became Godzilla and Kong. Yeah, such awesome. Zed wheezes. Right in the junk.
Hmm.
And it's bird spray, too, bird spray. So, bird shot.
No, man.
No, I'm pretty fucking far from okay.
This is whole like his delivery right now when he tells him like, "You hear me, hillbilly boy?
Uh, I ain't done with you by damn sight, hillbilly boy.
I'm gonna get medieval on your ass." I love that,
Yeah,
man. It's like,
exactly. Which is funny because it doesn't even, I mean, that was not a word prior to then. I mean, medieval was a word, but using it as like a verb, you know, but it makes sense. We are going to get into some bad stuff. I like how, as he delivers his monologue, Bruce looks like so sheepish in the background. Like seconds ago, he was standing tall with a sword, like the baddest man alive, and now he's like a little kid listening to his parents fight or something. He's like all sheepish and scared.
well, if you think about it, even like when I first saw this and he cocks the shotgun, I was like, oh man, who's he gonna shoot?
Yeah, yeah. There was that moment of, yeah, what's he gonna do?
Especially the way he slows down the frame rate when he to give it extra emphasis when he cocks the shotgun.
Yeah, the slow mo in the background of this is where it's gonna start. I like that he includes. You don't tell nobody about this. Rest of his short ass life in agonizing pain.
Rapist here.
Mm-hmm.
Too. Lost all your early privileges.
Which is nice because then we know that Butch and Fabian supposedly live happily ever after. And I mentioned last night, Tarantino's real big on white being an indicator that blood will happen. So, like in the car in Reservoir Dogs, it's a white car, and Mr. Orange is bleeding all over it. In this, with Marvin, and they shoot him in the face, the inside of the car is all white. So, of course, that's the big blood splatter. So we were talking about Bruce Willis taking off his pretty baby blue Oxford and putting on that white T-shirt. It was almost like foreshadowing that it was going to be covered in blood.
Man.
Chopper. Whose motorcycle is this?
Chopper, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
That's it.
Hey, and there's the wooden Indian from Creepshow 2.
Man's got to work, right?
Yeah, exactly. What the hell is that?
So this is a hotel, right?
Yeah, a real cheap one. But I think I just saw camera crew reflected in the window to the right of that one with the air conditioner in it at the bottom of the screen. When the scene first started, you could see people moving in that window. And I thought it was Bruce Willis, but it appeared to be somebody else. So it looks like a mistake I discovered. An editing or filming mistake. It's not a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper.
Come on,
I had to crash that Honda.
I like how he's trying to be so nice and everything, and then he gets upset with her, and she starts crying, and it's like, come on.
Did you get your pancakes? Yeah, he immediately has to go back into like good boyfriend mode. He's just been like badass killer, but then he has to like put that on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Where are we with these folks in the chat? Patrick says that True Grit 2010 is much better. They're discussing about that. Keaton's Batman is a better reboot than Adam West's Batman movie. Sure. Let's see here. Cabin Fever remake was pointless as the Psycho with Vince Vaughn. Yeah, actually, I thought Cabin Fever was even worse than the Psycho with Vince Vaughn. Because at least then you had the charm of Vince Vaughn as Anthony Perkins. Like the Cabin Fever had a bunch of unknowns being a bunch of unknowns. I was like, so dumb. Well, yeah, Kal-El says me with the camera info. Yeah, as when we were talking about that split screen shot before. I love Arnie's Western with Kirk Douglas. Let's see here. The Green Hornet was better show on half the budget of Batman 66. I think they're different in their own way. Batman was more satirical and kind of poked fun at the 60s counterculture. We're making fun of the heroes of their parents and grandparents, the old serial Batman, as where Green Hornet was actually more of a almost like legitimate show. It was kind of like Vegas or something, or TJ Hooker or some crap.
So this guy here, I always used to joke like, "Oh man, it's Seinfeld."
He does look like Seinfeld. And here's what I was talking about when dude busts out with that cat with his big hand cannon. He that's when there's like this orange flash because people say they're like, Jules in particular says he was saved by God or whatever. He should be dead. Let me see here. Some great episodes and films for the old Green Hornet YouTube show. Yes, and they're on YouTube. Wonderful. I keep hoping to find Batman 66 at the library. The old movie or the series run? The movie itself I have. It's a good one. They play it on Max sometimes. Yeah, dude looks just like Seinfeld there. What's the name of the blondie? What blondie? Oh, Zed probably. I bet that's what she's talking about. Maynard and Zed. Zed's blonde. I bet that's what she's talking about. Let me see here. Oh, well, actually said Cal got deep there. I disagree, Russell, man. Superman is a biblical story, a mix of Savior Jesus and the Son of Man, a.k.a. the Son of Jor-El versus Lucifer, a.k.a. Lex Luthor. It also has Coming to Earth is taken from the story of Moses. Yeah, I think Zack Snyder's Man of Steel had a lot of that stuff in it. And Russell tells him great words. Appreciate people getting deep. I like that. My name is Buck, and I like to fuck. Yeah, yeah. And Mayan says, "Oh my." Let me see here. That was from Kill Bill, man. I know, Patrick. I just like quoting Jim. Professor says, I don't know if you've touched upon it, but wasn't there a theory that the glowing light in the briefcase was the boss's soul? Yeah, we talked about that actually a little bit before you got here, Prof. That was, my theory is that the whole point of that briefcase is that it's not supposed to be anything, that we can all do what we want with it. But yeah, that was the prevailing kind of word of mouth wisdom, is that they were trying to retrieve their boss's soul. That's how he got to be the man.
All right, it was a miracle. Go on.
Someone to get ourselves another pet rat. Oh, Willard. Patrick says his first pet was a rat, which is crazy because now he's a cat person. It's like Repo Man film. We don't know what's in the trunk. Yeah, exactly. At least in there, they kind of make it seem like it's like an alien or something to do with unearthly energy or whatever.
I'm curious if it was actually like, what if the gun had blanks?
Yeah, or it just misfired. And I think that's kind of Travolta's point. Like, look, man, you don't know what caused that. It wasn't a miracle. It was just, a bad firing pin, or, the hammer of the gun didn't work right or something. Shawnee Smith starred on the telly with Becker and Ted Danson. I do remember that. As I like to call it, the boot. Yeah, he calls the trunk the boot. Oh, boy, here's poor Marvin. Marvin, what do you think of all this? You think God came down from heaven and stopped a gun? Oh, shit, I shot Marvin in the face.
Well, see, like that part, I even remember back in the day, it was like a theory that like that bullet going off was like one of the bullets that was meant for them.
Oh, that could be.
Like
I say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just said the bullet, like that bullet was one of the bullets that was supposed to, like, because I mean, it's like how would if he have like shot him?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm assuming, like he says, must have hit a bump in the road and he didn't have the safety on, or he was just over anxious and pressed the trigger while he was yelling or something.
Mm-hmm.
But Marvin is such a pointless character anyways. Like, is he the snitch that let them know where Frank Whaley and the crew was? Like, because he only comes with to get killed. I love that you can see bits of brain in his Jerry curl and stuff. His ears is covered in blood. Yeah, I washed my hands too, and when I finished, the hand towel didn't look like a goddamn maxi pad.
Man, this whole scene, just like this whole part of it, is just so great.
This is all very complex, because the whole thing where he's saying, like, I don't have, is there a sign in front of my house that says dead N-word storage? So it makes you immediately kind of dislike Jimmy because he's a racist, but his best friend is Jules and his wife is black, or Bonnie. I don't know. Yeah. So it's like kind of the Tarantino philosophy that the N-word is something that people use frequently in loose talk. And then most people are like, not in my life. Didn't look like no goddamn maxi pad. Like I said, I saw this in the theater, and when Marvin got shot in the face, the audience just cracked up. This part with the bloody maxi pad thing, everybody just cracked up. Like, things that should be gruesome and disgusting just had people rolling.
Yeah, this whole part, like, it's supposed to be like serious and everything, but it's like just the delivery is so hilarious,
Yeah. And I do love where he tells him, like, now look, I respect you, but you're gonna bring this situation to a head.
God damn, Jimmy, some gourmet shit you gave us.
And this is probably Tarantino's first attempt to start making himself as like a director, as a rock star kind of thing. Like he only has this small part, but as soon as we see him, we know this is the guy from the beginning of the movie, the Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, the name above the title,
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird because most movies you wouldn't know the director. Like, I'm not sure most people would know Zack Snyder if he turned up in one of his own movies. You know, we would, but the average person watching a movie wouldn't. But this is kind of predicated on you knowing who Quentin is. Now, you know why there ain't no sign like that. You know why? Because Story Dead Edwards ain't my business. That's why. I like
I
the
like
part
how
where
I like how I just like how he mouths off to him though. You know, like
he's not afraid at all.
Yeah.
It makes me think that him and Jules were like, he was basically Vincent at one point, like the two before he got cleaned up his life and married Bonnie. Like, did you ever see the movie Thursday with Thomas Jane? It's really good. I recommend it.
No, I don't think I have.
It's basically Jimmy's story. It's a guy who used to be like a crazy killer mobster, you know, cokehead running the streets, and then he leaves the life of crime and moves to the middle of nowhere, and he meets a nice waitress, and then he lives in a suburban household, and one day his best friend shows up at his house with like, you know, $100,000 in cash and a bunch of cocaine, and then a bunch of other criminals start showing up, and there's a scene where Thomas Jane gets sexually assaulted by Paulina Poroskova. That's what most people remember that movie is, the movie where a woman rapes a guy. But it's crazy. I recommend it. Glenn Plummer's in it. It's all stoner stuff. Yeah, it's really good. It came out in the mid 90s, late 90s. It's called Thursday with Thomas Jane, Mickey Rourke, Aaron Eckhart, Paulina Poroskova.
And I like the what if scenario when you see Bonnie showing up and then like they're carrying the body, you know, like
yeah, they got the dead bodies in the house. And then once again, Mia just in the background with that like swim cap on, looking all like 1950s, what's her name?
Jackie O.
No, what's the name of the lady who's a famous swimmer and she's in all those movies and they do like mermaid musicals? God, I can't think of her name.
I was thinking because of the sunglasses. So
yeah, exactly. Jackie O's a good call.
Like, I wonder what they're doing here at this thing that the wolf is at.
I like the idea that whatever this is going on, you know, it's Bonnie works the late shift. So this must be like, I'm presuming 7, 8, 9 in the morning or earlier than 9 a.m. I would say 7:30 or 8 in the morning. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So to show what an interesting guy Winston Wolfe is, we see he's at a fancy ass like tuxedo dinner party at 7:30 in the morning or whatever. It's like, what kind of life do you lead, bro? I want that life.
That's why I'm curious. It's like you see him. It's almost like a Sunday brunch, but like super too early to be brunch.
Yeah. And I like when he says, you know, I drive fast, and the car just like pulls up all quick.
I just like how, like, you know, the wolf, you know, he commands like he commands such, you know, he's so commanding, you know what I mean? Like just his presence, and you know, even Jules is like Vincent's trying to give him crap, but he's still like, he's like, oh really? Like he's not afraid, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I like that. Like the same way Marcellus and all that, like Winston Wolfe's reputation precedes him. Mm-hmm. So when he said, well, shit, why didn't you say you were going to send the wolf? Like he kind of gets happy, like, oh, it's going to be fine. Never mind. The ultimate fixer of fixers is on his way here.
Lots of cream, lots of sugar.
Mm-hmm. Also, another great line after they get everything cleaned up, and he's like, all right, let's not start sucking each other's dicks just yet. Oh, let's see where we're at here with the chat.
Dorks. They look like a couple of dorks.
Yeah, dorks. You look like a couple of dorks. I like the part
motherfucker.
when he goes and talks to Jimmy and tries to make it right with him so they don't get in trouble. And he's like, I'm sure if Uncle Conrad and Aunt Ginny were here, they would buy you a whole new bedroom set. And he's like, fortunately, your Uncle Marcellus is very wealthy.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, in here too, remember when we saw Videodrome? Like, if you look in the background, you see like the newspapers, you see like it's, it's tidy, but it's like there's still stuff around, it's
Yeah.
it's like real, it's like that's what you would see in somebody's house, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For those to catch some of you folks up, when we watched Videodrome with our friend Pugwall 316 Matt, we watched Videodrome, and one of the things we commented on is how all the houses and apartments and things looked lived in. Like you felt like you were in a real world where people were actually doing stuff. A lot of times, these movies, they use what looks like a model home, like when you go to look at home, like a new subdivision or whatever, and they have a model home set up. But this looks lived in. It's got, a tacky coffee or teapot there, and you can see like some, I don't know, muffins or rolls sitting in a bowl.
You see the tacky, like, what do you call it? Wallpaper, just the magnets and stuff on the fridge.
Yeah, it looks like someone's home. That towel that hangs off the handle in your stove. That's not in a normal movie, but that's in almost like everybody's house.
Lots of luck, gentlemen.
And then now he's doing the same thing Jules did to him. Look, I don't mean to disrespect you. I realize you could probably have me murdered very quickly, so let's just try to be cordial here.
I talk fast, I act fast. I need you guys to clean the fucking car. I can feel your look.
It's 1974 Chevy Nova. And then, yeah, look at those little tacky ass like stuffed animals on the chair in the bedroom, and like the way the closet looks. Like it's not all lined up beautifully, like organized by color or whatever. It's like, no, it looks like a real person's closet. Those tacky ass throw pillows on the ottoman and stuff.
The doily pillows.
Yeah, exactly. Like something a grandma would have. Like, if you had fine wealth, you would throw those away because why do we have these?
Well, it's like, even if you look at the way the closet is set up with the different, like, there's like no rhyme or reason. Like nothing's in order,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Like you normally, it seems like they'd almost like make the colors of the clothes kind of fit in a real cosmetically pleasing way. Here's another thing too. I talked about this with Reservoir Dogs. See the way we're outside of the room shooting through the door frame into the room? Psychologically, as an audience, we feel like we're spying on a conversation. Like maybe we were on our way to the bathroom and saw these two talking and just kind of stopped and we're trying to listen. Normally, the camera would be right up in their faces doing close-up of Keitel, close-up of Quentin, but this makes it feel real, like we're spying on some inside stuff. Now we cut to a real shot, and it's like almost jarring.
I'm an oak man myself.
Yeah, that's what I have in my bedroom. How about you, Jimmy? You an oak man? Oak's nice.
Oak's nice.
Oak's nice.
I can guarantee you he's gonna like charge Marcellus for the money he gave him too.
Yeah, for sure.
But
or he makes so much off of Marcellus that's a few $500 ain't nothing to peel off when you're making tens of thousands. You know what I mean? Like,
why am I on brain detail?
All I'm saying is I'm a race car in the red right now. Okay, a race car in the red could blow.
Blow? I'm a mushroom clown lane motherfucker.
I'm the Guns of Navarone. Which brings me back to last night when we were watching Reservoir Dogs, the part when Michael Madsen and Harvey Keitel get into a fight, and Michael Madsen's like, bet you're a big Lee Marvin fan, aren't you? I love that guy. Yeah, me too.
Me too. I like Jimmy right now. It's like, I can't believe this is the same car.
Well, let's not just start sucking each other's dick just yet. Clean you two. All right, I assume I suppose you guys have been to county before. All right, gentlemen, spread them.
To your bare ass. You got 15 minutes. Oh,
Look how
man.
slow they're moving. I don't believe they would get all this done as fast as they did. Anyways, Professor asks, favorite Tarantino ripoff? I mean, Tarantino-inspired movie that came out after Pulp Fiction. There are so many. What is it? 2 Days in the Valley.
That's a good one.
Boondock Saints, I feel, is pretty
Yep.
heavily inspired by Pulp. I feel like Lock, Stock, and Snatch are both kind of derived from Pulp.
Oh, definitely.
Did you ever see Go?
It's been a long time. Is that the one with Stephen Dorff? Or am I thinking a different one?
No, I think it might be a different one. It's Sarah Polley and Timothy Oliphant and Jay Moore and Scott Wolf. It's like a huge ensemble cast, but it's like Pulp Fiction style. There's one story, and then we go to another story, and then the third story is connected to the first story, and then we realize the second story is part of the third story. And I know it's pretty good. It was directed by Doug Liman, the guy who directed Swingers and the Bourne Identity movies and stuff. It's pretty good.
Would you now? What about like Lost Highway? Would you? Because I know Lost Highway was around this time. So would you like?
I don't know if I consider it Pulp Fiction. It's out of Lynch's movies. It's the most Tarantino-ish, but I think even Memento, probably to a certain extent, owes a gratitude to Pulp Fiction. The ability to play with time and jump around, and except Memento does it, backwards instead of like whack-a-mole timeline. But 2 Days in the Valley. Oh boy, what else is there? There's a whole bunch of these ones. Just crime dramas that wanted to be. Even to a certain extent, I feel like Suicide Kings feels like a part of this universe. They're just a lot of movies that played with time and had badass mobsters doing cool stuff, and primarily the plots were driven by dialogue. But Kevin Smith was also a big influence in that, driving the plot with dialogue. That was the strength of his movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why when this was like the golden age of Miramax.
Clerks, for sure.
This, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's just like really, really good. I mean, there's just so much stuff at that time for Miramax. I feel like that's once they started getting into She's All That, I was like, yeah, that's like. And here's another comedian too. She was on SNL.
Yeah, this is Julia Sweeney. She's primarily known for playing Pat, the old androgynous character who had her own movie, It's Pat. And the whole joke was nobody knew if she was a man or a woman. And nowadays, like, you couldn't make that movie at all. Like, that would be the most canceled movie.
No. They said 2 little puppy dogs down there too. I thought that was interesting. Again,
couple of Reservoir Dogs. But I'm still a lonely man burning for love, aren't we all? But I like the way of the many ways that the story twists and folds into each other and has this circuitous storyline that all folds into each other. The idea that the movie ends with Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, or no, we still got to get back to the diner, right? Like the idea that we have them alive, and then when they leave the diner alive, it feels like a happy ending, even though we know it's not a happy ending.
Yeah. Hawthorne Grill.
He's about as European as English Bob. And I like that. And they're just like having a discussion about the cool guy that they've only heard about and they got to meet once. It's like a couple of dorks who got to hang out with a cool dude, but the whole movie, these guys have been the cool dude. Shows you there's always levels,
Still dig on swine, that's all. This is all.
That's all.
The conversation here is just great, man.
So what, I'm gonna simply travel the earth like Kane from Kung Fu.
Hold on real quick, man. I'll be right
Alrighty.
back.
Not a problem. Let's see. Russell laughing at me. Lamonia says that's fire. But they're definitely dirty. But I love all this. We see them kind of having this discussion, this post wrap up, like all the big, high tension, like exciting plot point peaks that go on are followed up by people just talking. So when it happens again and we hear these two talking and then we see that Honey Bunny are there, like, oh, hell no.
Sorry about that, man.
Oh, it's quite all right. Switch being a problem. Yeah, rascal cat. Was it pissing in a shoe? I hear only dogs do that.
No, she just wanted to be in here, so I let her in here.
Oh, all right. Word. Thank you for joining us, Switch.
Yeah, we'll probably see her jump on the couch here in a bit. She'll rub around my legs for a little bit, and then she'll jump up on there. Seems to be her MO here as of late.
Yeah, one episode of Into House, we were talking, and I looked behind you, and there was like a black tail wiggling out of your ear. I was like, either that man grew a horn out of his head, or there's a cat behind him. Did Kill Bill get a deluxe DVD box set like Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction? I don't ever remember seeing one.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were going to make the same way they made Grindhouse, like a double feature disc, like there's like you can get them both. I believe they were going to do that with Kill Bill. It was like Kill Bill Volume All or some crap. Like the whole point was to make the Kill Bill into one movie, like it was originally going to be. But then I had heard they were going to do the Netflix thing, like how they did with Hateful Eight, and they were going to put the Kill Bill into like, turn it into like a 7-part, Netflix show or whatever.
Russell, if you're right there, you could see she's right in the corner.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
But no, actually, what they did when Kill Bill Volume 2 came out on DVD, well, Best Buy, they gave you like a little, they actually gave you like a slipcase to house both movies.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah, I have the two, the classic first release. The Kill Bill Volume 1 is yellow, and then Kill Bill 2 is red.
Mm-hmm.
But I never saw like a box set. Now, did you ever notice that these two say a different line from the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like slightly different, which, obviously is just because they used a different take and maybe they never even figured it out. But some people say that that's intentional by Tarantino to show, whatever, sliding doors of the universe or the multiverse or whatever.
Well, I mean, it's the same with even with the scene, like when you see that orange, the light when they're shooting the guy at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
when they're shooting Brett, and then because later on, like you were saying, it's supposed to be them, getting shot back with that flash,
Mm-hmm.
But if you really look, when you look at the scene later, it's like they both they have a conversation, and then all of a sudden the guy comes out and starts shooting them, and they're in a different position. You know what I mean? So I just
Yeah.
think, I feel like it's just like it was intentional.
Any up, you fucking pricks, move and I'll execute every one of you motherfuckers. Amanda Plummer crazy though. Like I don't think I've ever seen her in a movie where she's normal. She's almost like Carol Kane. Like anytime I see Carol Kane, I'm like, oh, she's gonna be crazy. And that's how Amanda Plummer is.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's perfect. She's perfect for crazy. I mean, heck, you've seen So I Married an Ex-Murderer, so
Yeah. She points a gun at a guy in a striped sweater and a long hair, and she says, like, get on the floor, you yuppie. Like there you can see him laying on the floor. He's got like a striped shirt on. That's Lawrence Bender. You'll notice his name. He's like the executive producer. Him and Tarantino are the founders of A Band Apart. So yeah, Lawrence Bender turns up in a lot of stuff. He was an actor, and I believe him and Tarantino became friends either like in acting school or film school or something. And then Bender kind of transitioned into being a producer, which is a sucky job. I don't know why anybody would be a producer.
Looks like Scott Mosier, right, with Kevin Smith.
Almost the exact same story. They became friends, and then this, like, you can see Lawrence Bender is kind of a handsome dude. Like, he turns up and stuff all the time. He looks like kind of a rich LA douchebag kind of guy, a long-haired version of Ellis from Die Hard. Yeah, he apparently wasn't going to make it as an actor. He didn't think he could make it as an actor. He's in Reservoir Dogs as well. He's one of the cops that's chasing after him. And I think when Pink is running away down the street, you see a bunch of cops chasing him on foot. I believe that's
wow.
Yeah, Lawrence Bender.
I like how all these guys have like tons of cash in their wallets,
Yeah, well, I mean, the lives they lead. I mean, you saw Travolta buy that heroin out the pocket for $1,500 or whatever it was.
Well, he had that whole wad of cash, like just like willy nilly. The Wolf had all that money, It's the one that says "badass motherfucker."
Yeah, the one that says "bad motherfucker." Like, that's such a great, like, tension relieving line. Like, this dude pointing a gun in his damn face or whatever, and we're all in the middle of a robbery, and there's all this just unease of what's going to happen here. And then when he's like, "It's the one that says bad motherfucker," and then he takes it out and it actually does say it on there. There are 13 minutes left.
You can't do that. I think we got a vigilante. He just plays it so cool, man. Samuel L. Jackson here is just so like, "Shut up, fat man. I had a goddamn business."
Yeah. And just the whole line of, "We're all going to act like a bunch of little Fonzies here. How does Fonzie act, everybody? Cool. Correctamundo." Yeah. I love that.
And I just like how like that whole like when he does have him and Vince is just like off camera somewhere and then like he senses him there. He's like out of his peripheral. He's like, "Vincent."
Yeah, like, if you give this guy this idiot, this moron, that money, Vincent,
I'm gonna shoot him on principle.
Principle, yeah. But now, see, if it was Marcellus Wallace's soul when he says, "Is that what I think it is?" I mean, that wouldn't make any sense. How the hell would he know what somebody's soul in a briefcase looked like? Is that what I think it is? So that's why I think maybe it's like gold, or it could be, I don't know, the truths of the universe or whatever, but it's irrelevant. It just matters that it's very important to anybody who looks at it. It's like the ring. The ring in The Lord of the Rings is the most famous MacGuffin. The whole thing is about the damn ring.
Tell that bitch to chill. Now, Yolanda. What I don't understand is like you see Tim Roth, like they don't look like they'd be together.
Yeah, she looks slightly older than him, and I don't know, but there's no telling when folks lead wild criminal lives. I don't know, maybe they got the same drug habit or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, they don't look like they line up at all, though. Yeah, I agree. I've always thought they're a weird couple.
Well, crazy attracts crazy, right?
Oh, me and you found each other, buddy.
2,
3. God damn it. Okay, now you let him go.
I thought we were gonna be cool.
And when motherfuckers get scared, then motherfuckers accidentally get shot. And that's just what happened to Marvin, like a scene before. So there's that intensity Tarantino's real big on the shooting him in the face thing. And they say that in Reservoir Dogs, the real sexy Asian chick. And he's like, honey, listen to the officer. He's like, buddy, I'm going to shoot you in the face.
I was gonna bring something up. That whole scene where they're talking about like the cop shows and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like, if you think about it, was that supposed to be foreshadowing that he like he knew the cop shows?
Yeah, exactly. He was a fan of the cop shows. That's the way I took it too. Yeah, that he became a cop because he grew up on all those cop shows. But the bad guys knew all the cop shows too, though. So, but they got it wrong.
Right. Yeah, but they got it wrong. Like they didn't know who the female cop was. They were like, "Oh, it's Pam Grier," and he was like, "No, Pam Grier was a film." And
Yeah,
like he.
Honey West, you under arrest, sugar. I love the part where he's like, "Point the gun at me," and then like that calms him down. Like, no, we're not talking with him. You're talking about me. Point the gun at me.
Great. I'm proud of you, and Ringo's proud of you. You're proud of her.
I totally empathize with that line too. Like where you meet some guy, you don't know who he is, he's rubbing you the wrong way, and he's got kind of this Liverpool accent, so you just start calling him Ringo. I don't know. Ringo over here said whatever.
Well, I mean, because he could have said like Lennon, or but he goes with Ringo, the least favorite Beatle, I guess, right?
Yeah, he wouldn't want to make him George Harrison or John Lennon or somebody cool.
That's my bad, motherfucker.
But I like how reasonable he is. Now take that out of there, and between that and the money that's in all the other wallets, that's a nice little haul for y'all. Because normally you would just be like, man, give me my wallet and get the hell out of here, you dipshit.
What's his there?
Okay, now put it in your pocket. It's yours.
You give that Nimrod $1,500. I'm sure.
That's what it was. I was trying to remember. Is it idiot, moron, Nimrod? Oh, I got to bring back Nimrod. And as the man who brought back Dullard, I will bring back Nimrod. Believe you me, buddy. Let's see here. Favorite Tarantino movie soundtrack? Kill Bill Volume 1 is Professor has played the hell out of that one. It's this, soundtrack. It's either this or Reservoir Dogs. They're about equal. I think this is probably better. The Al Green and then the whole like counting or playing solitaire till dawn with a dick of 50, like all that's just jumping. Jackie Brown, if you're into soul music, which I kind of Jackie Brown's soundtrack is good. Like there's some like the Delphonics are in there and stuff. So like if you're a fan of that type of, if you like baby making music, the Jackie Brown soundtrack is the way to go.
Oh yeah. See, but, this one always has that song at the end when they're like walking out, and then it's just like, I don't remember the name of it, but I used to have it on CD. I would play the heck out of that song.
Yeah, I mentioned on the Reservoir Dogs sound commentary last night that I bought a double set. It was the Reservoir Dogs disc and then the Pulp Fiction soundtrack together and like a bundled up. And I used to play them on rides home back and forth from college. And that's why I say they're about equal, because the Reservoir Dogs has Stuck in the Middle with You and Little Green Bag and a bunch of other ones. Ooga chaka, But this one's got the Dick Dale, Mizzaloo, and the Al Green, Let's Stay Together. And but Kill Bill has, what is it, the 6, 7, 8s or whatever. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo, woo-hoo,
Yeah.
woo-hoo. Yeah, that's in there. The 5, 6, 7, 8s, I think they're called, something like that. But I'm trying, Ringo. I'm trying real hard
to be the shepherd.
God, I feel like that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just, I mean, even I remember when I first watched this and he started doing the Ezekiel thing, I was like, oh man, here we go. Because like, and then he goes into this like part afterwards. I'm like, wow.
Well, just Like, I feel like that some days so much because as a person, I generally try to be a good person and govern myself to be a good person. And sometimes you'll just meet people who are straight up assholes and they just like insist on trying to make me a bad person like them. And I feel like Samuel L's. It's like, I'm trying so hard to be a good person and you are pushing me in a place I don't want to be in.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. It's like, if you weren't here, I'd be a good guy. Now you're here and I'm lowering myself to your level, whether I want to or not. So yeah, when he has that scene where he's just staring him in the eyes, deadly with the same brown eyes he drank the Sprite with,
Mhm.
you know, that feeling of just like, I'm trying so hard, Ringo.
And see, that's how, the way this movie ends is like, I feel like it's like, how could this movie end? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was like we were saying, or I was saying before, the way the story folds into itself and twists and turns, it ends with the good guys leaving victorious and happy music playing. But we know Travolta isn't, like it.
Hmm.
He says Russell is her honey bunny. Nimrod, the ultra mutant hunting sentinel from the future. No, it was a different Nimrod. Well, I think before we wrap it up, we have to play a quick game of our favorite You May Also Like. Whenever you watch a movie, I always like to see the other things they recommend. So for Pulp Fiction, they say Good Will Hunting, The Sopranos, Fargo, Gangs of New York, A Clockwork Orange, The Revenant, Straight Outta Compton, Killing Them Softly, Roadhouse. None of these feel like Pulp Fiction to me. Like maybe The Wire, maybe Sopranos. Oh, Get Shorty. Okay, Get Shorty's in here. That's definitely Sopranos, or definitely Pulp Fiction-ish. Elmore Leonard, the writer of Jackie Brown.
Well, clearly it's not the same for me.
Oh, really? What do you got?
First one, from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, that's a good rec.
Fargo, Gangs of New York, Office Space.
Oh, I didn't have Office Space in mind. That sucks.
Good Will Hunting, American Gangster, Full Metal Jacket, Black Mass, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
You want to talk recommends? Listen to this shit. You know how everybody thinks your phone and your devices listen to you, and we all have our stories where it's like, I said I need garbage bags, and the next day there's friggin' garbage bag ads in my Instagram feed or whatever. How many times did I mention the line where Samuel L. Jackson said, I'm going to walk the earth like Kane from Kung Fu? And on my Fire Stick, when I backed out to the menu, I pressed the home screen, and out of nowhere, they're pushing Kung Fu on me. There's David Carradine's bald ass just walking at me. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. Spying bastards, Jeff Bezos knowing what underwear size I wear.
Another oddball one of you might also like, A Night at the Roxbury. Seven.
Which really raises the question: what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. So they listen to all Macabro knows.
Yeah, it's Skynet, man.
Skynet for shizzle.
See,
right, kid. I'm sorry.
I even got Machete, Killing Them Softly, Breakfast Club.
Killing Them Softly feels like it belongs in there. Machete feels like it belongs in there. Breakfast Club, not so much, other than character study stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Larry started on SNL. You were on SNL, Larry? I was unaware.
I guess.
All right. Well, it's 1:35 in the morning, Easter Sunday. So if you're a person who celebrates, I wish you and yours a happy Easter. If you're a person who just likes eating chocolate eggs, I say today's your day. Stuff your face with ham and candy. Happy ham and candy day to you. Larry, you got anything new or cool coming up to plug or promote?
Yeah, on the 3rd, I will be on sorry, I'll be on Patrick's channel, doing eight questions with. I've been invited to be interviewed, similar to how Don was interviewed in March, right? Was it in March?
I believe so. What is the date you're believing? April 3rd?
Hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
I will be there. That's
So,
a Wednesday of this week, eh?
yep, this coming
All right.
Wednesday, and then just the regular stuff, especially in the house on Friday. But yeah, other than that, a couple of reviews coming up for figures and some collectibles. Got a lot of stuff came in, so you'd be seeing some shorts in the next couple of days.
All right. Well, good. I'll keep an eye out for him. Main thing I'll be looking for is to watching Larry on Wednesday on Have Cheetah Will Travel's channel. Also, on Friday, I'll be hosting In the House, the delayed one from this past Friday. I did finally watch Thanksgiving, the Eli Roth movie. That's been a running theme for many weeks on our show, and I finally gave in to peer pressure and watched it. So, did I like it? Didn't I like it? Be sure to check out our friend Professor Macabro. He released a review of it last night, as well as he's done now 2 different trailers for things that we've mentioned from In the House, and he's currently working on what's it? The one about the furries, Blind Furry.
Blind
So
Furry.
I can't wait to see Blind Furry. So along with Blood Gobble and promoting how all Thanksgiving movies have the word blood in it, as well as the European Werecow, that it's taken the nation by storm. Professor Macabro's fake trailers. And our friend Professor Macabro says another awesome stream. Take care, all. Russell's looking forward to seeing you on Patrick's channel. Lamonia Demonia, I forgot you were here, Lamonia. You were quiet tonight. I was probably having to listen to me talk. And Mayanne says good night, everyone. So good night, Mayanne. Love indeed. And I thank you, our friends, and friends in the community, night owls and otherwise, cat dad lovers. Be sure to follow our friend Larry. Be sure to follow the friends in the chat. Lamonia says, don't you forget about me, don't you? Yep, Breakfast Club. See, it all ties together with my friends. They're all smart. It's like Pulp Fiction in the chat. But we'll wrap it up there. I got to go outside and smoke a joint. It's 1:37, so I think that's a great time to wrap it up. Thank you for watching, and I wish you green grass and high tides forever. Adios, amigos.